What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Random Encounter Podcast, episode 135. I'm your host, James, and I'm joined by the Dress for Your Master, the dominant himself, Mr. Brian.
Live from inside the monolith.
And we got the fanboy himself, Mr. Phaneckswhy.
What's up? What's up?
First, want to apologize that I'm a little bit darker, because my light blue, so I had to kind of improvise some lighting. But anyways, what's more important really is the audio and what we're going to talk about today, because there is quite a bit that we do have to talk about today. We are going to go ahead and probably skip over one thing, because it really sucked. But there was some other good showcases that we had to talk about. And of course, we will be talking a little bit more on Nintendo Switch 2 and our thoughts after having it for a week now. Yeah, it's been a week now that we've had the Nintendo Switch 2. But before we begin, as always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead and follow over on Twitch if you're on Twitch as well. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started by diving right in with what I thought was the worst game show to happen this, I don't know, week or so in the past like 7
Maybe
days.
ever.
Maybe ever. That is true. Maybe ever. And that is Summer Game Fest. Like, okay, I've knocked on Summer Game Fest before, but they've always been like decent. Like, maybe C at best or at worst, usually. And they've had, I think, one or two wins out there.
Mhm.
But this last Summer Game Fest was horrible. Like, I was falling asleep. If you were seeing our live stream, I was literally falling asleep. I was trying to keep awake, trying to keep like entertained. And really, I just kept staring at my Switch. I was like, man, I could have been playing my Switch. I know Ash was playing his Switch 2 the whole time because there was nothing exciting at Summer Game Fest. But I'm going to go ahead and read off all of the announcements here. I'm going to start from the bottom because IGN likes to put the big announcements up. And I'm going to actually start with the nobody cares announcements, or rather, no big deal announcements. Starting off with Chronicles Medieval. Just a medieval game.
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly. It's just a medieval game. Then the next game was Ill, or ILL. I don't know if it's pronounced Ill. Is it Ill?
I think it was
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a horror game that they showed off.
A horror first-person shooter game.
Lego Voyagers, actually, that one was pretty interesting. It was a two-player co-op game, kind of like split fiction. It's also going to have a friend pass, so that might be pretty interesting. Not too bad. We had Atomic Heart 2, which surprisingly I did not get anything for that trailer being shown because a lot of the stuff in that trailer was kind of like, okay, am I going to get flagged for that? And for those of you who don't know, YouTube, you specifically have to write, is there 18 plus content or not in it? I think some of the content they showed off would have been 18 plus, but I always put my streams as not 18 plus because we don't really do anything. I try not to like swear or anything like that. So it's kind of like, still kid friendly in that sense. But in this case, yeah, they kind of went out, and it's kind of weird that Atomic Heart 2 is coming out because I don't remember. Do you guys remember? Did the first one sell good at all, or was it like a mixed
I
bag?
just remember being mid. I remember it being really, really mid. I don't remember if the sales were good, but
Yeah.
as far as like reviews and kind of like the general consensus, it was just really like shrugging, not warranting a sequel, certainly.
Gotcha.
I heard it had a poor start because they had to patch it, just like all those other games going on around that time. Like freaking Redfall came out around that same time too,
I remember
and there was
that.
like a huge like huge thing of like all these games are coming out. Just had to get patched so much just to make it playable.
You just remind me. Remember when we were playing? We were trying to group stream Redfall, and both me and you, when we boot up Redfall, it would go across all of our monitors, and it was like all like it was weird. Like half was on this monitor, the other half was on this monitor, and like it would flip like orientation and everything around. And we finally got to play it, and the AI was as bad as they said. Like the AI did not do anything. We were playing on the hardest difficulty, and it was still super easy. Which is sad because Redfall, I think there was a good base there. It's just the insides of it was not working for it. Like I said, which kind of sucks because I think it could have been a really fun game. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds was shown where they added Hatsune Miku, Ichiban, Joker, and Minecraft Steve was announced there. There's supposedly a leak of also SpongeBob being an available character and some Nicktoons characters being there, which we have yet to see. But it's possible because it looks like what they mean by cross worlds is that people from other franchises might show in, kind of like Smash Brothers, in a sense. Like I was thinking more. Do you guys remember Sega All Star Racings where they had it from like
Yeah.
every Sega franchise that was
Yep.
like on 360?
Great game.
Yeah, they're kind of going back to that route where they had not
They
just
should.
Sonic characters. They had, Ryo, I mean, from Shenmue was there. They had Monkey Ball character. I don't know if he has a name, but the Monkey Ball guy. What's his name?
They had Beat from Jet Set Radio. They
Yep,
had
they had him there. Yeah.
is his name AI from Monkey Ball? AI. Was that his
Yeah,
name?
it is that.
AII?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's AI. Yeah, that's right. Didn't he also have what's his name from Skies of Arcadia?
Yeah, they had Vice.
Yes, Vice.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they're kind of going back to that route. We're adding all their Sega properties, and then Minecraft Steve, which is not a Sega property, but they're adding third-party characters there too. Which I would be more excited if they go back and put in Vice. Maybe they give us a little sneak peek on maybe they're cooking up a Skies of Arcadia remake or something like that. Because I know we would be hyped. But
Yes,
but
Skies of Arcadia is great.
they did show that off, and I guess he went and said which was weird, and I didn't catch that on the live stream, but apparently he went and said we're gonna be cross-platform on like another kart racer. And to me in my head, I'm like, what does that even mean? Mario Kart World is only available on Nintendo Switch 2. Like, what does it matter if it's not if it's cross-platform or
Well,
not?
he was obviously talking about Little Big Planet karting, James. Obviously,
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, when he mentioned it, I was like, "Oh, I don't understand." And I've seen people like online going in on it. I'm like, yeah, you people are dumb. Anyways, that's why I don't like listening to you guys. But anyways, yeah. Crossworlds looks cool though. Nonetheless,
it does.
I'm
I'll buy it.
interested in it. Yep, same here. Bandai Namco revealed.
Not a new announcement though.
Yeah, not a new announcement. Correct. Just same announcement. Which I think that was announced last year, or was it maybe the Game Awards?
Maybe it was the Game Awards. I think it was.
Which would have been last year.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's still
Yeah.
last year. Yeah, I believe it. I know it was announced last year sometime. Bandai Namco revealed Towa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree. See, IGN does their thing all weird because they have Stranger Than Heaven right here, which I thought was a highlight. Looks amazing. Like
It does look great.
I like RGG games. I think the Yakuza series is amazing, and I actually like it more to an extent when there's less technology involved or less modern involved. In this case, Stranger Than Heaven, you're going into, was it like 1960s, right? Or was it older than that? Do you remember? I think it was older than that, actually.
Yeah, I think it was older than that.
Yeah, because I think it showed well over than that, but it looks really, really good. I'm digging it, and I can't wait to play that game. That's definitely going to be on top of my most wanted list for sure, as far as new games go. Wildgate, the space shooter from former Blizzard devs. I don't
Yeah, this is
remember that.
1915 to the 40s. So yeah, it's quite a ways.
Yeah, so I'm hyped for that. That game's gonna be amazing. They showed off more Death Stranding 2 stuff, which Death Stranding
Put my
2 was
fingers in
showing
my
off
ears.
a lot. Square Enix showed off Killer N, which I thought was another like game that PlayStation has showed off at a State of Play a while back, but it's not. It's a totally different game, and this game looks like a game that's like, why? But yeah, it's like Foam Stars. Like, why? Mortal Shell 2, they showed that off, which Mortal Shell 1 I know was liked. Oh, Scott Pilgrim EX, that was a good game that they actually showed off.
That was a good announcement.
Yep.
That's one of like the only good ones.
Exactly. Scott Pilgrim, if you haven't played the first game, amazing beat 'em ups. Highly recommend it. Also, if you haven't watched the Netflix show is actually really good, and of course
Great
the movie
show.
was really good too. I really liked it. You can watch both the Netflix show and the movie, and they're just two separate things. So don't worry about it. They're
It's not
it's kind of like a
sequential.
twist. Yeah. Really awesome. What's more amazing about that Netflix show is they got the original voice cast to come back for the characters they portrayed in the live movie. That is awesome.
Because a lot of those actors, like they were like, kind of up and coming celebrities, but now like mostly all of them are like full blown super famous, and they all came back like to the well for like where they kind of got started.
Yeah,
in a way.
like Chris Evans, right? That was I think one of his.
I would consider them like pretty big when that came out.
Not as big as they are now. I mean, Chris
No.
Evans is an Avenger now. Like,
Yeah.
that's pretty big.
Because I think this was pre
Brie
Captain
Larson's
America,
also an
right?
Avenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Captain America.
Well, I'm saying that
You
was
know,
pre-Captain
Kieran.
America,
Yeah,
the
it's pre Captain
Scott
America.
Pilgrim. Yeah. Who
Yeah,
else was
wasn't
in?
it?
I think so.
Um,
I
and
mean,
then
it
Brie
had
Larson,
freaking
obviously
Michael Cera
Captain
in it.
Marvel.
Yeah, but he was. I feel like he
Yeah,
was
Michael
already
Cera.
big around that
He
time.
was big because I mean, Arrested Development and all that, like
Yeah,
And
English movies he's been
Juno.
doing in Juno. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
would say he
Superbad.
probably Superbad. Yeah, he was probably like at his apex then, compared to now.
yeah,
But like, there are a lot of them though that like they certainly are at least bigger now than they were
yeah,
in 2010 or whatever.
for sure.
Like Kieran Culkin, for example, like he was famous, obviously, but I mean that was pre-Succession, and that's where he really blew up, and
Hmm.
deservedly so. Um, I'm trying to think who else is in that movie. April Ludgate. What's her name? The chick from Parks and Rec. The brunette. She plays
Yeah, yeah,
his
I know you're
sister's
talking about.
friend. Yeah, like
Audrey
she's
something.
Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she and also the girl from Up who plays his sister, Anna Kendrick. Like yeah,
Yep.
so a lot of them were famous, but they're certainly a lot more famous now than they were back then. So
Hmm.
it's cool they all made time to go back and get the band back together because it is a really beloved property.
Yeah. Shoot. If there's anybody on Twitch chat, let me double check because I can't get Twitch chat pulled up on my browser here, and it's not pulling up on here. It's like Twitch chat just down or something. I don't know if you guys can see it on Twitch, just in case. Just in case I'm not getting any notifications.
I mean,
I haven't
Cloudfire
seen
was
them change.
down earlier in the morning, earlier
Yeah,
today. So who knows?
yeah, I did see that. I don't know why it's not popping up here. Yeah, I can't figure it out either. Why? Anyways, we'll continue like this. But yeah, Scott Pilgrim EX looks pretty cool. I'm excited for it, and I'll definitely pick it up.
Yep.
This I probably, if it's not on Steam natively, I'm definitely not gonna pick it up on Steam. Well, maybe we'll see because I had originally got Scott Pilgrim and I picked it up, but you have to go through the Ubisoft launcher, and on Steam Deck, it doesn't play like, or rather, it plays, but once you start playing through some of the first level, it just like freezes.
Hmm.
And what I mean by freezes is you just won't progress. So you get to a point where there's enemies, and after you beat those enemies, no more enemies spawn, but you can't move
That's
anywhere.
weird.
And it just like stays
Hmm.
stuck there. Like you can walk around and everything, but you can't just get out of that area.
Hmm.
But like on
So
ROG Ally,
it
it
broke
works
the
fine.
game.
Yeah. And you know, it is random points too. So I was never able to complete the first level. Like
Hmm.
my son wanted to beat the whole game with me and we were going through it and we just couldn't. So I was like, you know what, screw it. But of course I have the ROG Ally X. So I might buy it on there, but we'll see. There's a Switch 2 native port, I'll get it.
Yeah, I bought it on Switch.
Hmm. I wish
So
I got it on Switch instead. Same thing with Streets of Rage. Like I just rebought it on Switch because I just feel it's better to play all my what do you call it? Local co-op games. Like with my kids, it's better. I just play it on Switch than on PC and everything. Makes it a lot easier. They showed off some more of the James Bond game, which looks good. I'm excited for it.
Promising.
And then of course they talked about a new Hitman World DLC where Mads Mikkelsen is reprising his role as what's his name? The main bad guy from Casino Royale. I forgot what his name was there.
I
But I
don't
think that's
remember.
kind of cool that they got him to go ahead and do that. And it's always kind of cool to see that blend of like Hollywood and like gaming, where you get these characters to portray them. I mean, I think we have to probably shout out like Kojima because he's been like pushing that a lot. I know he's not the only one. There's been other people that have been coming from Hollywood and in the gaming space, but I think he's pushing that a lot more. Mads Mikkelsen was in Death Stranding. One. It was him, right? It wasn't his brother, right? Because I get him confused sometimes.
Wait, what'd you ask?
Mads Mikkelsen, he was in Death Stranding, right? Or was it
Yeah,
his
yeah.
brother? Okay, gotcha.
No, it's Mads. It was Mads. Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
gotcha. Because I know they look alike. But yeah, he was in there, and of course you got a lot of famous people in Death Stranding. Arc Raiders, they showed that off. I don't remember what that game is. I know a lot of people were excited for that. I just don't remember what game it is.
just
They
a shooter.
They showed Game of Thrones, War of Westeros, which is an
All
RTS
that
game.
gameplay.
Yeah. That fake out at the end. You're thinking, oh, it might be an action game. Nope, it's an RTS. Uh Onimusha Way of the Sword, like, they show very little bit of that.
Looks great,
I'm excited for it, yeah,
but not a new announcement.
exactly, and they shouldn't have showed it off because they showed, like, 5 minutes of it. Wu-Tang, Rise of the Deceiver, which looks pretty cool. Um, they have, Wu-Tang songs there, they're gonna be remixed too, and new music from Just Blaze, which is pretty awesome. So if you're into the Wu-Tang Clan stuff, might be interesting. I might check it out. We'll see. Dying Light: The Beast, they showed that off. That looks pretty cool. They showed more of Liza P Overture. Again, not a new announcement. They had showed that off before. And
Didn't it get
then
shadow drop that day?
yeah, it also got Shadow Drop, which was kind of I mean, Liza P is cool, but like not a big deal. Not like Xbox's Shadow Drop, which we'll get to that in a little
Right.
bit. And then Resident Evil 9 Requiem, the thing that woke me up, it was also the very end of the Summer Game Fest. I'm
Yeah,
excited for
because they put a
this.
trick on everybody.
Yeah, they did. So, midway, they're like, oh, yeah, we're working hard on the latest Resident Evil game, and, we'll have to show it in a blink of an eye. And honestly, when he said that, like, we'll show it in a blink of an eye, I was like, okay, this might be coming up soon. But then after game after game after game, I was like, okay, maybe they're not going to show it. And of course, at the end, they do finally show Resident Evil 9 Requiem, or Resident Evil Requiem, however you want to call it. I'm pretty excited for it. It looks pretty cool. What they're doing with it is they're going back and taking an Outbreak character and giving you like their descendant, their daughter, which I thought was kind of cool because Outbreak nobody ever talks about. I feel like nobody's ever played Outbreak. Have you played Outbreak, or did you ever play Outbreak, Brian?
No.
No. What about you, fan?
That's the PS2 multiplayer one, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so there was like a single player mode, but the way you want to play is online. Like by itself, it was kind of lame. But yeah, Outbreak was fun. Like Outbreak 2 specifically, which is the one that I played. It was kind of neat because of course you needed the online adapter, which I had because I was playing Final Fantasy 11 like crazy, and SOCOM online. I was playing all those games, Battlefield 2 as well, a lot of games online. But anyways, you kind of like go ahead and you choose kind of like a person to play as, and then you're in Raccoon City, and this basically during the time of 2 and 3, and you run around, you have like little objectives to do, and if you get bitten by a zombie you actually turn into a zombie, which then you go ahead and you see yourself start attacking other players that are running by. It was kind of a cool concept at the time, and I don't know if it would last today, but it was cool nonetheless, and I know a lot of people liked it. Like I remember my uncle being so into it and playing it nonstop. For me, like I would play it on and off, but it was still pretty cool. And this is nice to see that they're referencing Outbreak, because like Survivor and Outbreak are two games that are canon to the Resident Evil timeline that a lot of people don't really get referenced to. I guess Hunk gets referenced a lot because he's from Survivor, but a lot of people know him more from like Resident Evil 2, or Nemesis, where he was a playable character in the Mercenaries mode. That's where more people know him, but he was the main character in Survivor. So I'm excited for this. They're back at Raccoon City. They're definitely going back to the horror elements. They'll have light action elements, but it's going to be horror based, and that's got me excited. There's a bunch of leaks out there. One of them was suggesting, and before this announcement came out, was suggesting there are two main characters, and one of them was going to be Leon Kennedy. So far, no Leon, but we have Grace Ashford, which is the new main character. A lot of people thought that she was the main character or the daughter to Ethan Winters.
Winter's
Yeah.
daughter, yeah.
Forgot her name.
Rose.
Rose, yeah, Rose Winters. Which there's similarities. I think it's more just Capcom's RE engine makes everybody look alike, honestly.
And they're both blonde, like platinum blonde too, and stuff. Like, they look kind of similar.
Yeah, but she has no powers, so that's why. And they probably
Right.
will feel like it would be too easy if they had powers. But it's supposed to be
Also,
more
they
grounded in
announced
horror.
they announced that from the get-go you can play it in first or third person, which I think is very interesting because they ended up adding a third person mode to 8
Village.
or Village, and I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and that's one thing I like, and it looks like it's a native third person, where I haven't played through all of Village in third person. Yeah, I gotta continue playing it, but that was definitely an afterthought. So like some of the scenes kind of look awkward, where this
Right.
is native to the experience. Like the cutscenes and everything will change in third person, which I think is pretty cool. But overall, looks fun. They still have a lot more to announce, and release date is February 27th, 2026. So they actually got a release date. And knowing Capcom, usually when they give a release date, they're
They'll hit
pretty
it.
good at keeping it. But yeah, Capcom has been on a roll. I laugh because there is another what is it? I'm trying to think of a game. There's another Capcom game. What was it? It was on State of Play, Pragmata, right?
Pragmata, yeah. Mhm.
I'm just bringing this up. This is like a side note here, but there was a tweet, and I replied back to that tweet. Is that they're like, oh, this is the first. It's from Dexerto, whatever that outlet is. They're like, this is the first original IP of Capcom in over a decade. I was like, do people forget about Exoprimal and Kinutsu, whatever the god is?
Kintsugami.
Yeah, Kinutsugami. Like those literally just came out not too long ago, and they forgot about that. Poor new IPs, but I'm excited for a new Resident Evil. I will say this before we end on Summer Game Fest. The biggest disappointing thing here is out of all of those games, none of them had a Switch 2 logo. Not one single one had a Switch 2 logo. I did find out later on though, Sonic Cross Worlds is having a native Switch 2 version. So we do know that's coming. But every other game, there is no Switch 2 port or anything. Not even IGN even mentions it either. Because if we go to Sonic Cross Worlds, let me go scroll back down to this.
Nope. I read somewhere that Scott Pilgrim game will be on Switch.
Will it? Okay.
Yeah. It's just I think they didn't have the logos and stuff on there because, like I was saying,
Oh,
when
would
we
it be
talked about
Switch
the
2 or would it
Xbox
be
showcase.
Switch?
It just says Switch. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of the logos said Switch, but they don't specifically say Switch 2. And then Crossworlds, or not Crossworlds. If you look at, like, let's say Final Fantasy Tactics, the announcement on Final Fantasy's YouTube channel, it has the Switch 2 logo for the Switch 2 version of Tactics, not just the OG Switch. But what were you saying?
Well, I was just saying, like, it's possible that when these games were like in development, they weren't thinking of a Switch 2 like release at the time. And since most developers probably already knew, like, hey, it's Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible, they're like, well, we'll develop for the Switch, the regular Switch. Because Scott Pilgrim is just a beat 'em up, so I mean, you don't need crazy hardware for that. And then just kind of see what happens.
But I mean, it comes back to, something that we're going to talk about a little bit later on is like the limitations of having Switch 1 games played on Switch 2, right? Like not every Switch 1 game will look the same in terms of what you're getting at the screen, right? But we'll discuss that portion when we go back to our Switch 2 thoughts later on today. But yeah, that was Summer Game Fest. We all gave it a D, right? And I think that's because Resident Evil Requiem, not Sonic, Scott Pilgrim EX,
Scott Pilgrim.
and Stranger Than Heaven.
Stranger Than Heaven, yeah.
Yeah. That's really it. So Bryant, who won?
So what James is referencing is that I created a small game for the Summer Games Fest, even that was kind of a waste of time given how awful it was. Oh, look who
coming in.
Popped in just in time to find out the results of our final bets. So as I mentioned, I kind of cribbed this from something that Game Trailers and Easy Allies used to do when Kyle Bossman was there, called the Final Bets with him and Michael Huber. I always thought it was a very good segment. I wanted to kind of resurrect something that was similar to it, where we kind of just placed bets on things that happened in the presentation. And yeah, it's just kind of too bad that it was kind of a lackluster presentation to put so much on the line. But we'll go through it, and I'll let you guys know kind of how everything shook off. So, will the word first question was, will the word chrono be spoken? There was a game called Chrono something. It wasn't the chrono we were looking for, but it was there. Next question. Will a double jump happen in one of the new reveal trailers? I'm going to assume it was between all those first-person shooters, and after that conference, I didn't want to go back and watch the whole thing and be an eagle eye and look for it. I'm going to say there was. It doesn't really matter because everybody said yes for the double jump, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter for what happened. How many proper reveals will there be? Again, this is one of those things where I wanted to stop counting as soon as possible because I was getting really tired of trying to figure out if something was just an update or a brand new announcement. Ash, you guessed 20, James guessed 21, Fan guessed 15. We went well over 21, so James won that one.
Yeah.
Will there be a new mainline Mario game announced? No, across the board. You guys all got a point for that. Will a new Street Fighter 6 character be revealed? Yes. So there's some points there. I'm not going to tell you what everybody guessed. I'm just going to reveal it at the end. But will the word persona be spoken? No. That was at a different conference that we'll get to in a moment. Will Monster Hunter Wilds have a reveal with the Nintendo Switch 2 logo? That did not happen, thankfully. Well, you know what I mean. Vivi will make an appearance. That was shooting way too high and for this conference. No, that didn't happen. Clear Obscure Expedition 33 DLC revealed. No, that's just something that everybody would want. So why we put that in the Summer Games Fest? No, this is the big one. Jeff and Hideo will shake hands or hug. They absolutely had a loving embrace. It was very beautiful. I was very happy to see that happen. That was the highlight of the show, probably outside of Scott Pilgrim and Resident Evil Requiem. So that was a yes. Will the number 9 be shown in the title of a game? Roman numeral 9 or 9 is acceptable. Resident Evil Requiem, Resident Evil 9, that's it. And will a previous Microsoft Xbox Series exclusive be announced on PSN? No, was the final answer. So, and then also all the dreams talk we had, that those lofty aspirations had no place in this show. This was this show was one from the bowels of hell. So that didn't happen. So to go to the end of the day, the third runner-up is going to be Fan, who came in at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And then the final two are going to be between Ash and James. I bet you guys are just dying to know who won this. Just on bated breath. Who could possibly have won this gigantic event? The answer is James.
Of course.
James came in at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. And Ash came in at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. So James wins Summer Games Fest. There's his trophy. He went. It should be like the most bronze, like imitation bronze. That should be the kind of medal that is. I don't know if you should be jacking up that trophy so much, James. This is not something to be proud of. This is something to survive. And yes, you did survive it, and you managed to win.
Barely.
Yeah, and you were sleeping, but that was the end of that. And once if we get a Nintendo Direct somewhere this month, I'll write another one. We can do that again because I thought that was fun. So there you go.
Honestly, like with Summer Game Fest, and going into our next topic, which we're going to be talking about the Xbox Showcase, I'm actually kind of upset that Summer Game Fest happened to happen on the day off, because I would have much preferred a live, stream of the Xbox Showcase, like 100%, because that showcase was definitely way, way better than Summer Game Fest in like every way, shape, or form. Like, there's no contest there. Like, I think people can argue between the PlayStation State of Play and the Xbox Showcase, but if you try to say Summer Game Fest, and I've heard people say Summer Game Fest was pretty good, I'm like, we did not watch the same show. Like, there's no way we watched the same show. But that's just my opinion, of course. Like, if you're excited for the games for Summer Game Fest, more power to you. You like those style games, that's up to you.
I'm surprised there were more than 21 new announcements at Summer Games Fest.
Yeah. Announcements of games that we didn't care about.
Right.
Our circle at least doesn't care about. All right, let's get on to a real showcase, and that is the Xbox Game Showcase. So honestly, for me, Xbox Game Showcase has usually been a kind of meh experience. This is something that's kind of also been like really C-tiered, I would say. And they never really hold up to a State of Play or a Nintendo Direct. But in this case,
however,
this
real quick,
go ahead.
The last time Xbox had a thing like this, it's where Clair Obscur was announced, and Doom and South of Midnight, and those all ended up being pretty solid. So that was pretty good, particularly Clair Obscur. But continue, go ahead.
Yeah. So this time, Xbox was just like, you know what? We lost in the console market, but we're gonna win in our software department, in our announcements, and everything surrounding us. And we're gonna go down swinging with a bang and please our Xbox players and everything like that. And they sure did. They did a lot. Um, this is what I'm reading through is through Xbox Wire, and this is kind of like their announcement. So hopefully they have everything in a good order. Oh, no, they don't. They have it in a bad order, but we'll go ahead and read it off the way they have it written down here. Anyways, they started off the show by introducing the ROG Xbox Ally and the ROG Xbox Ally X, aka the ROG Ally 2 and the ROG Ally X2, because literally that's what they are. Asus will not be doing an ROG Ally 2 or Ally X2. Rather, they're branding this, which is a horrible name, ROG Xbox Ally and ROG Xbox Ally X, which is,
So many
you know,
X's.
yes, it's, I don't know what is up with Xbox and their naming decisions. They do not know how to name devices. But anyways,
They
this
should have
still,
called the first Ally the Ally S.
yeah, that's true. They missed out the Ally S and the
Yeah,
Ally
what's up with
X.
that? That was such an easy one too. They
Oh
should have done
man,
that.
there we go. See,
Like right on the nose.
they have to hit you up for these marketing decisions here. But anyways, they partnership in terms of designing the ROG. Oh man, this is gonna be hard to say. ROG Xbox Ally, and I'm gonna just say Xbox Ally. I'm not even gonna say the X. That's just too much. They partner up with creating a device and kind of making it feel like an Xbox controller. So they do have grips now. You have a dedicated Xbox button. They changed the interface. So what they did is kind of not really de-Windows it, but like Windows is really not
You're
there
doing
to
what
an
everyone is
extent.
asking.
Yes.
They Steamified it.
So you have an Xbox interface, right? It's using the Xbox app, but what it does, it kind of like minimizes everything else in the background. So think like you were saying, Steamified. SteamOS game mode pops up when you go ahead and use the Steam Deck. It pretty much pushes all its resources to the game mode so that you can 100% take advantage of whatever you have in the Steam Deck. In this case, it's kind of doing the same thing where you will boot this up. You are in the Xbox game mode, which is the Xbox store, which will pull from all your other game stores. So like Epic Game Store, Steam, GOG, Ubisoft Connect, EA, all that stuff will be in just one spot. You can navigate using the controller, so it has a great controller interface. It has a new overlay where you can kind of do a lot more with it, which is nice, and a lot more simplified for PC handheld gaming. But the huge plus, like I said, is all those resources now that were used for Windows are now being used for gaming. And I think they pointed out something like it's almost like 4 gigs of RAM that's going to be you're going to be able to utilize now directed at gaming, which is a lot. I mean, it just tells you how much Windows uses in the background. Because it's minimizing Windows, you will be able to do that. Now, I'm not saying like minimizing Windows as in like you can't use like Windows or anything like that. Of course, you can use Windows. You can use it however you want. But when you boot this up into the game mode, it's not utilizing all those resources that it has working in the background for normal Windows functions, which I think is pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, that does come out later on, holiday launch 2025. There are reports now that because of this launch, the Xbox is no longer working on a dedicated handheld, which I think kind of sucks because the biggest thing that I still seen that's being misrepresented is that this is an Xbox handheld. This is an Xbox PC handheld, meaning that if you bought a game that's previously on Series X, that's not Xbox Play Anywhere, well, guess what? You can't play that game on there. Elden Ring is an example. I own Elden Ring on my Xbox Series X. I can't play it on my PC because it's not Xbox Play Anywhere. So in this case, if I were to buy this, or I don't even need to buy this, like I'm ROG Ally X, but if I put up the Xbox Game Store, I cannot play that. There's other games that are not play anywhere, like Final Fantasy games, I believe, or Final Fantasy 16, I believe specifically was not Xbox Play Anywhere. I believe it was that one. There was one game they showed off was not Xbox Play Anywhere. That means that basically you would have to buy that same game twice. So that's what sucks. I guess to give you a better example, the example I'm gonna use, everybody knows what I'm gonna say is I can't play Lost Odyssey on this, so I don't care. But it does have a Z2 Extreme chip, which is nice, meaning it's gonna be more powerful. So I'm pretty sure you'll get really good performance out of it. We'll have to wait and see, and if it's enough of an upgrade for me to switch from an ROG Ally X to an X2. I don't know. And we also gotta wait on pricing too, see how much it's worth, and is it worth that pricing, or will somehow Microsoft subsidize it and make it cheaper than what it's supposed to be? That'd be very interesting. But more coverage on that. We will be talking about that as we get more information.
Yeah, this could just be their fray into figuring out, okay, so how do we take the Xbox OS and put it on a handheld,
Mhm.
but still give people the freedom to play what they want? So maybe they're gonna somehow, if this does well, iterate to where like there'll be like a hybrid of like Xbox OS and Windows together. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I see that being their test for the console market, where their
Yeah,
next Xbox is no longer an Xbox, per se, right? It's a PC that's running this
I
Xbox
mean, they're just going
variant.
back to the original Xbox because the original Xbox had ran on PC parts.
Yeah, I mean, technically, every console runs on PC parts.
Well, I mean, it
Technically,
was made with like PC parts like off the shelf, and that's why
hmm
when people bought the original Xbox, it was so easy to hack and mod just because
hmm
it was basically a computer.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the with this going forward. Um, the next game on this list. Oh man, oh man. Um,
Do we want to talk about this one now? Get the disappointment out.
yes, I think we are.
Okay.
And so when I saw this game, I was like, "Oh wow, this game looks interesting. What is this?" I'm here looking at it as it goes. I said, "Oh man, is this a new horror game? Like this is up my alley. Like it's a horror based game." And then
Yeah,
next thing you
like kind of like
know,
Alan Wake-ish.
yeah, exactly. I had like all the like it had some sci-fi elements, but it started going like horror elements, and I thought it was a new Alan Wake game. And then I hear the name Mason. I was like, "Oh man, I know where this is going." I see TVs. I'm like, "Okay, I know what this is now." And it happened to be Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I was like, right.
Yeah. I was trying to remember which trailer you're talking about because I barely watched the Xbox showcase, so it's sort of a recap for me. I forgot Black Ops was shown there.
Yes,
So
that was the last game they showed off, and I was disappointed because the trailer got me excited. So I was like, "Wow, this looks really interesting." But
It
the
would have been
minute
cool if they would have made like a Titanfall prequel,
that'd be even
like
better.
a
Yeah,
Titanfall like Origins.
that'd be cool. Anything Titanfall related would have been nice. 'Cause Titanfall was great. Um, but like seeing this, I was like, man, like I feel like a lot of people were thinking that too. That this looked like an awesome new game, but it happened to not be an awesome new game. Well, I mean, I guess a lot of people are excited for Black Ops 7. And all they had to say was Mason. The minute they said Mason, they showed TVs. I'm like, all right, it's Black Ops. Because the famous scene in Black Ops 1, what do the numbers mean, Mason? Tell me the numbers.
yeah.
That's that famous scene. So that's all they had to say for you to kind of like get into that. But anyways, they showed off not even gameplay. It was really just a cinematic of Black Ops 7. One neat thing they did say after the event to press is they are working on a Nintendo Switch version, and more info will come later. Because they're talking with Nintendo about it. So we'll see. Like something I think that fan was gonna say like on this is I think, and we'll probably see this later on in Xbox, is we'll get to that later. Actually, I don't want to ruin fans' thunder here. Um, Clockwork Revolution was shown off, which is like a steampunk game that kind of reminded me a little bit of what's that game? BioShock. They showed off a
Yeah,
little bit more of that.
in the Discord I was saying it reminded me if they took Sands of Time and
Mhm.
BioShock Infinite and like meshed it together.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked interesting. That's available on Game Pass, and of course, now the new verbiage that Microsoft uses: Xbox Series X and S, Xbox PC, Xbox Cloud, and Xbox Play Anywhere, or play a day one on Game Pass. Also available on Steam. That's a lot. Gears of War Reloaded. They showed off a new trailer of that. Multiplayer beta was announced. Also available on Steam and PS5, and of course, it's the same thing: Xbox PC, Xbox Cloud, Xbox Play Anywhere, and so forth. But no Nintendo Switch 2 stuff. 4K texture, 60 FPS, and 60 FPS in campaign and 120 FPS in multiplayer, which is interesting. Usually you see the reverse, like 60 FPS in multiplayer and 120 FPS in campaign, but no, it's the opposite. Grounded 2, that was shown off. But yeah, that was announced there too. I Didn't know Grounded 1 was as popular, but Grounded 2 is showing up. That's kind of cool.
What game?
What is it?
What game did you say? Grandia?
Grounded.
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 Oh, Grounded. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Grounded.
You know,
Not
the
Grandia.
ant.
Yeah. Now I know. I
Grandia
didn't
was
hear. I was like, Grandia got announced. I would have remembered that.
Keeper. I don't remember this game. This might be a game that I didn't pay attention to, but that was showed off. They showed Ninja Gaiden 4. Some more stuff about that. I'm excited for that game. Can't wait. Outer Worlds 2. They had like a huge showcase at the end of that where we're going to go more into that. Outer Worlds 2 is also $80. And I haven't heard a lot of people complaining about that. Have you guys?
What's going on?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. Again, it's one of those things where the internet just had to have its fun with Nintendo ripping everybody off. But the second that Outer Worlds 2 is $80, oh, that's NBD. That's no problem. And what's so crazy is I thought the original was kind of like a budget game. I thought it was cheaper for some reason. I could be wrong, but I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought
it was like 40 or 50.
Yeah,
I don't remember people outraging when Sony first announced the $70 game.
There might have been some riots about it, but it wasn't the vitriol that Nintendo got, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, for starters, I did hear a lot of complaining about the $70 price point when Sony announced some of their first party titles, and alongside with that, I also hear a lot of people also complaining about the R-Worlds 2 price point. Now, the thing is that it's the same thing. I'm going to talk about Nintendo, where they got to prove that the game is worth $80, and I think when I saw the trailer, I think they showed some gameplay within it, but they need to do a lot more work to convince people to buy it at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing I remember about Sony, them complaining, was the upgrade path. Like, it's kind of like what Nintendo is doing right now. Like, there's a lot of unknowns, and it was like, do you have to pay $10 for an upgrade, or is it a free upgrade? Where Xbox was mainly doing free upgrades, Sony was kind of like, we don't know what to expect. Now we kind of know what to expect because they kind of went transparent after a while. But like, they were in the Nintendo situation where we don't know what's an upgrade and what's not. But yeah, I don't remember.
I had to load all my games.
Complaints. Yeah.
I plugged in every single game I own into my Switch just to see there was an update pop up.
Yeah, that's a very annoying.
Speaking of which,
it's just you got to deal with the existing code for whatever free performance you can get from the Switch 2. So it is what it is.
What were we gonna say, Brian?
Speaking of which, it's probably not big enough for a full non-news item, but just talking about updates on the Switch 2, Splatoon 3 got a update today that really enhanced the performance of Splatoon 3. It makes it look really nice.
Yeah, that was going to be for our next segment. Switch 2 talk is going to be for the next segment.
Sorry. I know.
Let's not steal Xbox's thunder here. Come on,
keep going.
We got to give Xbox a win.
Okay. Yep.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. They showed off some of that. I was actually like, when Tony Hawk came on board, it's like, is he really that old? And I had a Google search how old he was, because I thought he was younger than that.
He's in his 60s.
Yeah, I did not realize that, because like in my head, and it's kind of one of those
things. He's always 20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you grow up on something, when you picture somebody, you picture them like how they used to look. And when I saw him, I was like, this can't be Tony Hawk. Like, there's no way he got that old. And then I looked up his age. I was like, oh shoot, he is old. But anyways,
same thing happened with my girlfriend. I watching The Last of Us show, like the season 2, and seeing Catherine O'Hara, the mom from Home Alone, seeing what she looks like now is just like, wow, man. Yeah. It's really. I mean, she looks great for her age. Like, don't get me wrong, but just like, she's so iconic as Kevin McAllister's mom, and like that look and everything. And now she's like, she's probably getting close to 70, if not already. And it's just kind of like.
I think she was in something else that I watched recently too. I don't remember, but she was in something else. But yeah,
Schitt's Creek.
What is it?
Schitt's Creek.
I never watched that, so definitely not.
You never watched Schitt's Creek?
She was in Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice 2.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, Beetlejuice 2.
She was in the second Beetlejuice, but Schitt's Creek, the TV show. That's like a great comedy, man.
No, I've never watched.
It's so funny. It's like only like 3 or 4 seasons, but it's
I don't watch a lot of.
Yeah, I heard it's
watch
good.
a lot of comedy TV shows. I don't know, like. I'm an action guy.
Too many games to play.
There's too many games to play. Catching up on One Piece, which anytime I watch One Piece. But I did watch a cool movie. This is a side note. Watch Havoc. It's on Netflix with what's his name? Venom.
Tom Hardy.
Yes,
Tom
Tom
Hardy.
Hardy. Really good. I liked it. Very brutal. Like a lot of gore. Like some of the kills there was like, did you really have to go in like that?
Like Mortal Kombat, like brutal.
Yeah, like it's like crazy. But I think the action is good. The only thing I don't like in the action that really annoys me when some action scenes are like that is like you get like you throw 2 punches and then they stop and they look. And it's like you're not gonna do that. Like it's like they're showing out. They did too much of that, but like the fight choreography for the most part was pretty good. What got me watching it is I'm not has anybody watched Mobland at all with him?
No, my friend recommended it to me and said
It's
it was
really
very
good.
good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. But the theme song, the opening song to Mobland is the trailer music to this, and it also has Tom Hardy in it. So I was like, okay, my wife's like, isn't that the song from Mobland? I was like, that is. Like, I guess we're just gonna have to watch this. But it was really good. I liked it. It's like a 7 out of 10 show. It's like nonstop action. Like there's a story, but you're really more interested. It's kind of like John Wick, where it's just straight up. There is a story there, but it's like action, 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 action. They kind of did that with Tom Hardy. I think they did really good with it. But anyways, back to Xbox again. Sorry, stealing your thunder, Xbox. Animo, I think it's pronounced Animo, which is basically like almost like a Pokemon type deal.
Kind of. When I saw the trailer, like you capture creatures, but from the gameplay, it looks like you embody the creatures that you capture.
Interesting.
Like Mario Odyssey, like with the Cappy.
Okay.
Because I was looking at the trailer, I was looking more into it. I'm like, is this just like going to be a Power World ripoff? And then I saw that. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, what?
Power
Like
World
people who are like Pokemon fans, like who didn't want to like control Pikachu, or Squirtle?
Yeah, true. So
Like not just by like the turn-based commands, but actually like move them around and like attacking stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, look interesting. Arriving 2026. I don't even know how to pronounce this game. Aphelion? I don't remember what this game was. It's a third-person sci-fi adventure from the Don't Nod. From Life is Strange and Jusant. I guess is how you pronounce it. So from devs from there. At Fate's End. I don't remember that game either. I apologize.
This was kind of Metroidvania, I think.
Was it?
Ish.
Okay, I don't remember that. Which one? The At Fate's End or the other one? The
At Fate's End.
At
Fate's End. Yeah, it's like it's kind of Metroidvania style gameplay where it's like side scrolling, like back and forth.
Okay. And this one looks like it's Xbox exclusive because it doesn't say also see developer website for other platforms. That's kind of weird. On Xbox Wire, you have to go to the developer's website to see the other platforms. So that's kind of weird that they. Oh yeah, a lot of these actually say that. That's kind of weird. I didn't realize that. Game Freak. They showed off their game, Beasts of Reincarnation, which a lot of people were going crazy. Like, wow, Game Freak made this game, like looking at the visuals and everything. And yeah, I mean, it's a different type of game. It's an action RPG. So the exact opposite of what, Pokemon is. And it's a more mature look versus what you get with Pokemon. And it's got a lot of people questioning, like, is Nintendo the problem with Pokemon and not Game Freak? I mean, it's one of those things that we'll have to wait and see. I don't think Nintendo's the problem because we've seen amazing Nintendo games. So somebody's got it. It's got to be like Creatures or somebody in between is the problem because now we can see
Arceus was good. And then kind of just
true.
Scarlet and Violet was like, what were you doing?
So I will say this. After beating Scarlet and Violet, and I'm sorry, we're talking about Nintendo again. After beating Scarlet and Violet, I will say this. It is a really good game. Unfortunately, because of its Switch launch, it's why it sucked. But playing it, beating the ending, it actually changed it to where there is definitely more of a narrative in this game. Where there's an actual story, you're kind of going through and seeing it, and the ending is kind of sad. Like it has actually kind of a sad ending. And I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed it. I beat the whole story mode. Now I'm doing like the post game, which is kind of cool, and the post game is fun. But anyways, we'll get back to that on our Nintendo talk. But yeah, Yeah, Beasts of Reincarnation. I'll continue to look forward to this because it seems pretty interesting. I'm always into action RPGs. I love action RPGs, so yeah, why not? Um, The Blood of Dawnwalker. I don't remember that. You're
Isn't
like
the
a
one with the
half.
vampires?
Yeah,
Where like you're a daywalker essentially.
yeah,
Like you've got powers of a vampire at night, but then you can still walk around during the day, and
yeah.
you drink blood and stuff like that too. So it kind of looked like
Legacy of Kain.
Blood Rain with the male protagonist.
Oh,
Like just the feel, the vibe I got
okay.
from like if you kind of took Blood Rain and like Oblivion and like put it together in third person, like
I'm looking at it now. I wonder because this could be also a callback to OG Legacy of Kain. Why can't I think of the name?
Blood
Brian,
Omen.
help me out. Yes, Blood Omen. Maybe not. Like I really liked Blood Omen and Blood Omen 2, and I feel like those games don't get enough love. Like everybody talks about Soul Reaver, where Soul Reaver's amazing, right? But Blood Omen and Blood Omen 2 were great story wise and everything. And yeah,
After I finished Blood Omen 1, I
Mhm.
definitely like it's good, but it was a lot better in 1998. Like it's fine.
not as good as, well, it's a different gameplay too. Like you have it's not how Soul Reavers was positioned as in more 3D action game. Blood Omen was what, more of a, what would you
You
qualify
had
that? It's
stealth
like a,
elements to it.
yeah. It was
It,
interest. It was different.
it was it. I mean, it had gore
Yeah.
and kind of action, but it leaned towards like to
Yeah.
the abilities that you would have to like utilize to progress
Well,
the
yeah.
game.
Blood Omen 2 kind of went more of the action
Yeah.
route, especially on PS2. I remember playing that on PS2 and I was like, oh, wow, this looks amazing. That first stage where it's like all dark. Um, that was great. Chronos: The New Dawn. That was shown off there. Made by Bloober Team. I'm excited for that because Bloober Team, I liked I can't remember the name now. The Medium.
Silent Hill.
Or Medium?
Oh.
Medium.
Yeah. The Medium, I liked it. There was no combat in it, right? But it was still a fun game. I really enjoyed it. It was a very short game. But I did enjoy that. I haven't played Silent Hill 2 yet, but you played it.
So good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like,
Finish it.
I gotta pick it up, man. I can't believe I haven't picked it up yet.
Yeah, the trailer of this game kind of like reminds me of Dead Space.
Dead Space, yeah. It definitely had some Dead Space vibes to it. But I was excited. Like Bloober Team, I think what's funny is I remember a lot of talk when Silent Hill 2 remake was announced, and it was Bloober Team. And a lot of people were kind of mad that Bloober Team was doing it. I'm like, why are you mad? Like the Medium I thought was great, but they for whatever reason hated it. And then they came out with Silent Hill 2 and it's great. And now people are excited for this as well. I'm like, come on, man. Like I feel like they've hit, maybe they did another game, I believe, that wasn't that great. I don't remember what game that was. But maybe that's the reason why. But I don't know. This looks awesome. I'm excited for this. And this was one of those things that kept my attention when it came to the Xbox Game Showcase. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is coming to Xbox. Nate the Hate is once again correct when he said Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate will come out this year. He specifically said they weren't launch titles, but they were coming out this year for both Xbox and Nintendo Switch 2, which now we do have both Xbox confirmed and Nintendo Switch 2 confirmed. Both are coming out in winter, as said by the producer of Final Fantasy VII Remake. He has stated that Remake Integrate will come out on Xbox and Switch 2 on the same day, which is kind of cool. But the kind of shadow drop moment was Final Fantasy 16. That was dropped right away. And honestly, I wasn't expecting that. I did not expect 16 to honestly leave PS5. I know Square Enix said they were going to go more third party. They're going to kind of diversify their games and bring them to other platforms. But I did not really think that 16 would jump ship to Xbox. But there you have it. It's available on Xbox. Now,
Just a quick thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
About 7 remake or rebirth or integrate or whatever they want to call it. is I just remember so distinctly. I want to say it was E3 2015 is when they did that reveal of Final Fantasy VII Remake for the first time, and it just said like coming first to PlayStation, and everybody assumed that it would be like, oh well, Remake will come to PlayStation in whatever year, and then like maybe a year later it's gonna come to Xbox or whatever, and it's like it took 10 years for it to get there, and it's just kind of insane when you think about it.
I mean, technically, what, 5 years? Because it came out 2020.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it got announced in 2015. It came out in 2020, but I just mean like it got announced as a PlayStation exclusive in 2015, and then finally it came to Xbox in 2025. It's just a long road. That's all I'm saying.
And it's coming to Nintendo Switch too.
That too,
which is awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, man, if I owned my Xbox, I probably would have bought it on there as well. But I don't own my Xbox.
I'll buy it on Xbox.
So. But we'll be buying it on Switch too. And like going with Final Fantasy 16, I'm happy for Xbox players that they get to play it on the 16 is Play Anywhere. I apologize. 16 is Play Anywhere, meaning if you buy it on Xbox, you get it the PC port as well, which is kind of cool. Xbox is really going in. They're trying to combat. I feel they're trying to combat Steam with the Xbox Play Anywhere, being like, oh, if you buy this game on this platform, you get it also on PC platform, which will entice more people to buy their games on, say, Xbox, and then buy a Xbox branded ROGLI Xbox or whatever.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, exactly. With Xbox Play Anywhere. So, interesting thing. I'm sad because I was hoping and looking around. I was like, oh, maybe 16 is coming out on Switch 2 soon as well. No, nothing for Switch 2, unfortunately. That'd be awesome.
I thought you'd be upset if it came to Switch 2.
Well, I'd buy it on Switch 2 just to support you,
They
Brian.
technically could do
nice.
it. I mean, because 16 does play on the Ally X.
It does. Yep.
And they have, and we'll talk about this like when we go to the Nintendo Switch 2 side, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, RAM aside, right? Like this is running on the Series S. So you would assume that if anything that can run on the Series S can run on the Switch too. I think, can we all kind of agree with that?
Yeah,
I think the S might be like slightly more powerful, but generally speaking, I that's probably the case. Yeah.
I don't know. I was just watching a Digital Foundry video today, and they were saying otherwise, that
Really?
in native performance, the S can produce a better image, but with DLSS, like the games that they've tested, the Switch 2 games have looked better than the Series S, which is interesting.
I mean, I played Hogwarts Legacy on the Ally X and on the Switch 2, and it ran better on the Switch 2.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hogwarts Legacy looks great on the Switch
Must
too.
be really optimized.
Yeah, I mean, between DLSS. Yeah, so I think Digital Foundry said that it's running at a lower resolution, but because of DLSS, it's jumping it up to 1080p or 4K, and it's keeping like the 60 FPS on there, so it's running like super solid on there, which I'm pretty surprised at that it's able to keep that. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe on Xbox Series S it can do 1080p 60, but like texture quality is like down like big time. Like it's nowhere near as clean as what they have on Switch 2. So yeah, I mean, I think this could come to Switch too. But anyways, Xbox is getting Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which makes Xbox the only place that you can play. Excuse me.
Everything
only
but 11.
console. Only console that you can play every single Final Fantasy game.
Except 11.
Is 11 not backwards compatible?
I don't think so.
Because I mean, yeah, that's true. They would have to put it over, so it's not, because 11 did come out on Xbox 360, but it might not be compatible with whatever they have going on right now. So yeah, everything but 11.
Still, it's impressive.
What were we gonna say, Ash?
Oh, I said, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, which kind of sucks because 11's still going on too. You would think that they would have ported it over just to let people on Series X play it. High on Life 2, which I think that was announced. Was that announced on this? Was it announced before?
Yeah, that was a new announcement. Yeah.
It was a new announcement.
Okay. For some reason I thought it was announced like before that. Okay.
High on Life, like it was a good game. Like people loved it.
Yep. Coming out this winter and available on Game Pass. Invincible Versus. They showed that up. A 3 versus 3 tag team fighting game. I mean, I've never watched Invincible, so I can't really say. To me, it reminded me a lot of Mortal Kombat, like in terms of like how the movement is, and when it comes to fighting, I like as much as I enjoy Mortal Kombat, I prefer the fighting style of say Street Fighter, or the Marvel was it Totem game or whatever it's called, like that style fighting versus the Mortal Kombat more stiff animation fighting style. What about you, Ash? I know you're a fighting fan. What do you thought about this?
I'm like an avid, but like, well, based on like what I saw from the trailer,
Mhm.
like off rep, it was really, I thought NetherRealm Studios was involved making this game because
Mhm.
how stiff it looked compared to other fighting games and stuff. And then like later on, that's when Maximilian actually made like I think 2 videos about it, saying that he already play test a whole bunch of this game, and this game is actually made by a Killer Instinct Killer Instinct developers and stuff, and
Mm.
they want to do this project and everything with the main creator of Invincible and stuff.
Hmm.
So with that, according to Maximilian, there's definitely a lot of promise to this game. Of course, we need a lot more information on like what characters are coming through for this. So some people are speculating that we may get some crossover characters in here. I'm like, we'll see, I guess, but stick with the Invincible characters first and see how different the characters are between one another. Because from so far what I see, I forgot some of the names, but I know Mark's fighting style is kind of similar to that one dude's fighting style. He's like basically looks like Black Invincible. I forgot his name already, but they both of them literally have the same like idle animation, and the way they were attacking, it sounded like they have similar frame data. And of course, this is like pre-alpha stuff, so they may iron that stuff out and everything. But so far, it looks good. Looks pretty promising, and I'm pretty sure. I hope this game succeeds because I wasn't really expecting a Invincible fighting game. That was definitely not on my bingo card at all, if anything. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
The characters aren't like they don't have like 30 memorable characters. Because I mean, I've seen season 1 of Invincible, and I just think of the main character and like Omni Man, I guess, and the girl, and like I guess there's like a few
Eve,
characters,
yeah.
Mhm. Those are the 3 that I know from Invincible. I've never watched it, but every time I see something of it, it's just those 3.
So the thing is that they can add like I think 15 characters. They can add the original Guardians of the Globe from the first episode of Invincible. They can do that.
exactly,
They
and
can,
then gets sued by Marvel or DC rather.
we'll see. I mean, they
Just
haven't
kidding.
gotten sued. Yeah, they. I mean, the guy haven't gotten sued yet. Funny enough,
No, I
but
know. I'm kidding.
yeah, and then they can add the new members of the Guardians of the Globe. Kind of spoilerish, but the freaking show's been out for a while. And then they'll add that, and then along with that, they're going to add some of the Vulture match, which you already seen already, which is the older lady with that attacks with her hair for the most part, has the thing attached to it. I forgot her name already, but they're adding her in there. Obviously, you already seen her in the trailer. And Alan the Alien, he's probably going to be in there as well. That's pretty much obvious. So there's going to be a some of a healthy roster. It just really depends on how they're going to support this game from here on out. Because if they're, I will want to see DLC from this game if they're actually going to add crossover characters
Mhm.
from this game. Which I wonder who they're going to add in there. Maybe freaking Homelander. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that can fit. Invincible with, The Boys. I could see that.
I'm just thinking, because I'm just thinking because the way they're doing this is that they're trying to make it similar to Mortal Kombat,
Mhm.
especially if the announcer sounds really familiar to modern Mortal Kombat. So I'm like, oh, okay. And then as they're fighting, they have as they get hit and everything, they obviously get like wear and tear on their
Yeah.
on their body. There's blood over them, so I'm assuming there's probably going to be some sort of fatality related things in that game because I mean, Invincible, there's a whole bunch of gore in it, so I won't be surprised if there's something like that in there,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I'm just wondering like who else can they add in there. So I'm thinking the boys. I highly doubt they're going to add any Marvel or DC characters in there because that means that they're going to perform fatalities on them, which I'm like, I mean, for TV purposes, I'm not too sure. If they're going to go strictly comics, yeah, there's definitely a good amount of gore depending on what comics you read and stuff. But it just depends on how they want to deal with it.
Well, I'll be keeping an eye out on this. I Don't know if I'll pick it up. Probably not, because
You need to see the show first to get context, really.
I
Like,
guess, yeah, there's
it's a
that
good
too.
show. It's really good.
It's
Yeah, really
brutal.
good show. Just a really good show. Just wasn't expecting a fighting game out of it. More like an adventure game, or like a
beat 'em
like
ups,
a
like a
Yeah.
beat 'em up.
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's
like
like an
not like
open
a fight.
world, not side
Flying
scrolling
through
beat 'em up, but like an
rings.
open world beat 'em up.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like with this fighting game, they're making them way too grounded. Making them way too grounded. And like, if you watch the show, you're like, damn, they're going through buildings, doing
I
this
mean,
and this and that, but they're just like restricted to this one area. I mean, they might send each other flying to like another stage or something like that. But
Basically,
like, I
Injustice.
want something more. Yeah, they might do something like that, but like,
imagine if
I
they
don't know,
went
man.
the Superman 64 route, but
That's why I said flying through
invincible
rings.
Yeah.
But better. I hope so. Yep, that's what I take.
This next game, I'm actually half excited about this. It's called. I'm probably pronouncing
Mudang.
this wrong. Is it Mudang? Okay, Mudang
Yeah.
2 Hearts, which looks really cool. It's a tactical action adventure. Half of it is you play as a North Korean special forces operative dispatched to South Korea, and then the other half is you play as Gavi, a K-pop idol. And basically, with the special forces operative, it looks like Splinter Cell. Like, honestly, I thought it was a new Splinter Cell game, but then of course it's not a Splinter Cell game. But it looks really cool, very Splinter Cell-ish. But when you play as the K-pop idol, then you're really just kind of like running away. So you're doing kind of like sneaky missions. Think of in my head, it reminded me of Tales. No, what is it called? Plague's Tale. It reminds me of that, where you
Okay.
have a lot of sneaking missions where you're trying to like get past guards and stuff like that. Yeah, go ahead.
I took it as like when you play Mary Jane in the Spider-Man games.
Yeah, basically
Pushing
like
over
that.
books.
Yeah. I mean, that's another good way to put it as. So we're getting basically half a Splinter Cell game, for the most part. But it looks really cool. I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on this because I really want a new Splinter Cell game. We're not getting Metal
concept
Gear
is
Solid.
interesting.
I mean, we got Metal Gear Solid Delta, I guess, coming up, but the concept is interesting. Gameplay wise, they show gameplay and it looks pretty good. Graphics look really good. I mean, there's not much to complain unless the AI sucks and the game is just horrible. But it's one of those games we'll have to wait and see. That does launch in 2026, so I'm excited for it. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on it. The thing that, of course, we have to look out for is it is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and apparently Unreal Engine 5 games tend to have issues. So that is something we'll have to look out for. This next game, nobody really cared about, but I was excited for. That is Persona 4 Revival. I am super excited for this game. Nobody else here on the podcast likes Persona 4 except me, so
Yeah, especially Brian, man. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, when they
Shamrock
announced it,
Man.
I was like, I was snoozing when they announced
Yeah.
that.
Because of this, he said that it's on the same it's on the same level as Summer Game Fest. Like, it's crazy. Not just kidding. Persona 4 Revival, like the minute I saw the TVs, I'm like, I know this game. I got super excited, and sure enough, it's Persona 4 Revival.
I
What do
knew
you
it
guys
from the
think?
shrine.
From the shrine, really?
Yeah.
yeah. It was easy.
Yeah, so there's just one thing that really bums me out about this trailer is that it looks so early because it just shows
does.
I think his name's Yu. I want to say I think that's
his name's
his
Yu.
his canon name
you
Yu.
know Rakami.
Yeah, it shows you running through Inaba and there's nobody there and it just looks so barren and you'd
That
figure
is
if it
true.
was like gonna be like something that could come out like maybe this fall or winter, it would be a bit more
The fact that it's
populated.
early build.
Early. Like I bet I wouldn't be surprised if this is like maybe summer next year and the fact
Like
that
an
it's
alpha?
yeah,
alpha
like the
build?
fact that it's so back, it's just very disappointing, but I'm excited that they announced it. I mean, this is about as like a passive aggressive of a trailer as you can get. It's basically okay, here it is, shut up. Like
Hey,
and
there's
and
some
it kind of
gameplay.
has yeah, but it's like
Gameplay.
really early. And I think it really kind of portends something really interesting for Persona 6. The fact that this is going to be like the game they're going to pour all their resources into, and it's going to come out in 26. I'd be shocked if it came out any later than that. But like, what does that say about Persona 6? Like, what's the status of that? Is that going to be in this decade? Like,
So, to my knowledge, don't forget the team that worked on Persona 4 Revival, exactly, is the same team that worked on Persona 3 Reload. And then Reload, and then the team that is working on Persona 6 is the team that's worked on Metaphor.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so because remember they did say when Metaphor was like announced that was the team that worked on Persona 5. So there is 2 different teams. So I think that team is working on Persona 6 now. Of course, they could be working on Metaphor too, like, for all we know of. But anyways, they're probably working on Persona 6, so we probably will get Persona 6 maybe a couple years after Persona 4 Revival. Give or take. We'll have to see. But this looks,
just give it to me.
This looks cool. As always, we have wait to see anything that it's gonna bring. Like, is it gonna have the golden features, or is it gonna be like Reloaded, where they're gonna give you the base game and then here's DLC for all the golden stuff that happened, which seems like something Alice would do.
With this, they can't really do that because the Golden has so many features that's kind of like baked into the actual core gameplay of Persona. So they have to choose one or the other on what to add, because like if they do vanilla, they can't just turn around and sell like the golden expansion pack. They expect it to be all willy-nilly like last time, because most people weren't having that when it comes to like the reloaded DLC for Answer.
Why not?
I get the story.
Why not? They can just be like, hey, here's the golden expansion pass, and you can now replay the whole game in golden form.
Yeah, but they have to work a lot of things within Persona 4 in order for that to be possible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You'll have a second playthrough that is golden. You have the golden route, then you have the OG Persona 4 route.
Yeah, and
I think you're trying to be. I think you're being cute, James. I don't think you really mean that.
I mean, I'm just saying they could do that. They could do that. I don't want them to do that.
And then and most people are gonna revolt. Just look up the DLC for I guess on Steam. It's overly negative because, for one thing, the scummy thing they did is that they put the DLC within the expansion pass, which includes all the other DLC costumes that people didn't want. They just want the story by itself, and that's it.
So we got to do the math. How many negative reviews there are? How many positive reviews there are? And then add those together, and that's how many units were sold, plus and then some. And they're gonna look at that and be like, "Oh, cool! We have a million bad negative reviews. That means at least 1 million people bought our DLC." I'm just messing with you. I'm just saying that's the evil side of corporation. I never did either. I only played Golden on Vita, because like Vita didn't have that many games for me, and I was looking for games to buy, and that happened to be one of them. I was like, all right, let me try this out. I've heard a lot from people that Persona 4 was amazing, and let me give it a try. It's funny enough, Persona and Dark Souls are 2 games that somebody had told me to give a try if I like RPGs, because I was getting bored of games, and I picked up both of those and fell in love with both of those at the same time. All right, go ahead, Ash.
I would just say, I feel like I love the thing I love about the Persona series is that each Persona game is kind of like catered to like a specific audience, depending on what they like. At the end of the day, you're still gonna like all of them, but you're gonna have a favorite. Doesn't mean the other Persona games are bad, right? And the thing is that the reason why like there's like recent like not recently, but when like Persona 3 Reloaded came out, everyone was happy. Like, great, we're getting new content. We're actually going to be interacting with our team members within the vanilla version, because that's something that has never been done before. But the fact that DLC was included, the expansion pass which was like $35 at the time. The hell, man! Like, and the thing is, this is not the first time Atlas has done something like this. We can go back and just look at the Persona 5 release for PS5, essentially. That was your upgrade, and the only upgrade that there was for that was, I think, wasn't there like a 60 FPS patch to the PS5 version? Because
I believe it's 60 FPS, yeah, and native 4K versus like upscaling.
Yeah, and that's it. And like, there people are going to be paying like another $50 or $60 just for the whole thing, which I'm like, really, Atlas? And then Atlas is not the only one that does this too, but like,
it's just Sega as a whole is doing that right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sega as a whole is doing it. I mean, they did it with Sonic Shadow Generations for the Switch 2 release. I'm like, god dang it. But let me just stop
There's
right there
something
before I
else.
go off a tangent.
The Sonic
But,
Shadow Generation is not the only one. What's the other game that was from Sega that they did it to? Because we're putting out 2 games on Switch too. Oh,
well,
Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. Same thing.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Puyo
see,
Puyo
it's
Tetris
just
2, if you have that, if you have it on Switch, they have 2S, which is just the Switch 2 version. It does nothing. It's literally the same game, just in 4K and 60 FPS, and you have to pay the full amount.
and I don't think like boycotting the Switch 2 version of those games is not going to help anything either, because
Yeah.
this is going to be based off of how another company's doing metrics. But Capcom is saying that they're going to count as game key cards as the digital sales.
Yeah.
Right, which means it's going to like essentially bloat the numbers of the digital sales, and they're going to convince themselves that, hey, game key cards are the way to go. Let's keep full fun with that. And I feel like once Capcom is the first to do that, then other companies are going to follow suit along with that as well.
Yeah. We'll be
Yeah,
right back with more Nintendo stuff. Let's continue the Xbox. Let's continue the Xbox stuff. So Planet of Lana 2 was revealed. I do not remember that game, but it was revealed. I'm not lying. That is coming 2026. Resonance: A Plague's Tale Legacy, which is basically like a they're expanding the universe of Plague's Tale, which is kind of cool. Like if you haven't played a Plague's Tale game, I highly recommend it. They're actually pretty fun. They're mainly stealth games, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the first one. I really thought it was kind of great. Everything that was going on there is a pretty neat story. So I do recommend like giving those a try. But that was announced coming in 2026. And this one was a little bit different. So I'm interested to see how this goes. It says the story is set 15 years before the events of Requiem. So I'm interested to see where that goes. A solo leveling game was announced. Well, I don't know if it was announced or if it was a brand new game, but anyways, there was a solo leveling game there. It comes out fall 2025 for the PC version, and then the Series X and S and cloud versions will come in 2026. Super Meat Boy 3D was revealed. A brand new Super Meat Boy game. Yeah, that looked interesting. That is also early 2026. There was a lot of 2026 games that they showed off here. There are no ghosts at the Grand. I guess that's the name of it. Yeah, that's the name of it. That was announced. Didn't care for that. Let's see. Age of Mythology Retold. There was some like DLC for that. Elder Scrolls Online. They showed that stuff. Fallout 76 showed DLC for that. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle also showed out DLC. The Order of the Giants. Sea of Thieves showed off some more DLC, and that is pretty much it. So Xbox Game Showcase. What do you give it?
Give it an A minus.
A minus. What about you, Ash?
I'm sticking with just a solid B.
How about you, Fan?
I said B plus because it slightly ekes out, I think, the state of play for me. But that's just for me.
So I personally don't like doing minuses and pluses, so I'm gonna just stick to a B. But I did prefer this over the state of play, in my opinion. The state of play had a lot of good things, but I think this had a lot more things that I was kind of interested in. Like Booper Team's new game. While I'm not the biggest Gears of War fan, I was excited for that. Persona 4, I think, was a huge hit for me. Like, we all wanted that to come true, and here it is to finally show Persona 4 was there. I think there was a lot of things that I was very excited for to see. Plague's Tale, again, I'm not the biggest fan of that. It's not like a win all be all, but that was kind of cool to see as well. So they kind of
I think there was a lot more new announcements.
There was a lot more new announcements, I would say. I would agree with that. The Splinter Cell wannabe game that I told you about was a Mudang. Like that game I'm excited for. Like there's a lot of new stuff there that looks kind of cool. That look up my alley, right? Again, I like the state of play. I enjoyed it. I gave that a B as well. I just think I preferred the Xbox Showcase a little bit better. Like a little bit, not a lot.
You take out Persona, I give it a B2 probably.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you take out Persona, Oof, if you take out Persona, I would probably drop it to a C. I think
Wow.
Persona is a big enough of a letter grade on its own. I think so, possibly. Like I would have to go back to my mind palace, no pun intended, and kind of reevaluate and see what I think there. But yeah, I mean, a win for Xbox. Like honestly, everybody won except for Summer Game Fest. Like, man, kind of bums me out that Resident Evil Requiem was shown off as such a boring snooze fest. No offense, Jeff Keighley. Just get better. Take this as construction criticism. Get better. All right, moving on to our last topic of the day. Or actually, no, I lied. We have one more thing to talk about, and that is, and we're gonna, kind of go over it just a little bit. And that was Konami's press start, little showcase. They showed off some more Metal Gear Solid Delta things, which is kind of cool. Like, I'm excited for Metal Gear Solid Delta. They showed the Ape Escape levels available for PlayStation and Steam. The Xbox Series X and S is getting the Bomberman, where you're basically Snake and you have to fight Bombermans. And then they announced a new online mode, which I completely forgot the name,
Fox
and I didn't pull it
Hunt.
up. Yes, Fox Hunt. There
Fox
we go.
Hunt.
Brand new online mode, which is basically a hide and seek that they described it as.
That was cool. I thought that
Yeah,
was
it
cool.
looks pretty interesting. Looks fun. But they did announce that it is not Metal Gear Online. It's its own thing. And yeah, it's basically hide and seek, but competitive. So competitive hide and seek, which I believe is a real thing, honestly, out there. If you type in competitive hide and seek, I think that is actually a real thing. Looks cool. They showed off a little bit more of Silent Hill F, which we did see at the
Looks
State of
so
Play.
good. I can't wait for that.
Yes, that's got me excited. They kind of talked about like what they were going with. That they Silent Hill was kind of like a merge between like Western horror and Japanese horror, but they felt that Silent Hill was getting too Westernized, so they wanted to go back to their Japanese roots, which is where you get this. And if you don't know what Japanese horror is, think of the original Ring, right? That is the Japanese horror, or Fatal Frame if you want to stay in the gaming world. Fatal Frame is basically pure Japanese horror when it comes to that. Yeah, Silent Hill F looks really good. They showed that off. They showed off a bunch of mobile games too. It's sad to see that the new Suikoden game is a mobile game. Also coming out on PC, on Steam, so you can play it on there. But it's still a mobile game, free to play game. So gotcha elements and all that other stuff in there. There was a baseball game they showed off, which I thought was kind of cool. Like they have a mobile baseball game. I don't know. I'm like, all right, that's cool if you're really into baseball. I think younger me, who was really into baseball at the time, probably wouldn't enjoy that. Older me doesn't care about sports anymore, so that's that. But yeah, I'm excited. It kind of looks like Konami's back in gaming. They actually had a gaming showcase, which means that there's hope that next year we get to see some new Castlevania. What do you think? New Castlevania?
I didn't hear if you said. I heard you talk about Silent Hill F. Did you mention the Silent Hill remake by Bloober? Okay, I didn't hear.
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't mention that. Yes, they did
Okay.
announce that there is Silent Hill remake also by Bloober Team. That they announced, which is the original. It's going to be Silent Hill 1. They officially confirmed that it is Silent Hill 1 remake, which is nice. And there's also, I believe, didn't they say there's also a brand new Silent Hill game in development as well?
On top of F?
Yeah, on top of F, on top of Silent Hill 1 remake, that they're also already working on a brand new entry in Silent Hill, which I think is going to be pretty awesome. So we got F, we got 1 remake, and now there's a brand new entry as well. So Silent Hill's back, and this is slowly showing that Konami's back. I guess we just have to wait and see where does Metal Gear Solid go from there. We have Delta coming out. Are they going to do something else with Delta? We've had
remake 1
Castlevania collections. I think basically outside of the 3D games, every single 2D game has been re-released except for Rondo of Blood, technically, because you can play that on PS5. Yeah, which technically those games you can get on PS5 through the Castlevania
through that Legacy collection.
Yeah,
I think it's a Legacy collection. Yeah, but like it should be, those games should be available on PC and everywhere.
All platforms.
Like it's silly that they're not. Yeah,
it's sad to see that because like on PS5 I was playing Rondo of Blood, very hard game by the way.
Yes, very hard. Yeah,
it's super hard, but it has amazing music. It's the TurboGrafx 16 version, right? The music is so like late 80s, early 90s, and I love it. Like the sound style and everything.
You know what's so insane about that
Mhm.
too? It's that Castlevania Requiem show,
Yeah,
like that's based around like Rondo for all intents and purposes, kind
yeah,
of, and it's not available outside of PlayStation. You
that
figured
is
that
true.
with that show coming out, they'd release it everywhere, but they didn't.
They probably thought Richter being in Smash was good enough.
Yeah, probably.
They're like, "Eh, we don't need to waste money on bringing this back." No, they need to bring that back. I think Rondo of Blood is one of those games that everybody should play. I know a lot of people say it's
And
one of
Symphony
the
too.
best. Yeah, of
Symphony's
course, Symphony of
fantastic.
the Night for sure.
Mm.
Symphony of the Night is like goated status. It's literally up there with Super Metroid as some of the best
Sure.
games ever. Like those two games alone are probably better than like 90% of the games out there. And I'm doing crazy math because I don't know if that's the high probability, but they probably are, honestly. Two amazing games. Yeah, that was the Konami press start. All right, let's unleash the Switch 2 talk. We can go crazy with the Switch 2 talk. It's been 1 week. What is everybody thinking about when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2?
I enjoy it. I'm playing my Switch too so far with everything. I mean, there are some gripes, obviously. Um, when they say backwards compatible, they delivered. I do wish that, since the Switch 2 is so much more powerful, that they could have made it to where like every game, since the screen is a 1080p, screen, not every game is going to scale up to 1080p, unfortunately. Perfect example, I bought Persona 5 Royal for the Switch just to play it, and it's in 720p in a handheld on a 1080p screen. Does not look
Well,
great. Does not look great.
they're gonna make a Switch 2 edition for that. Just
So
wait for that one.
$60, baby.
yeah, I'm not
$60.
gonna shell that out because I mean when you have it docked, it looks great. They obviously upscaled it to whatever I'm playing it on, but I have it on Steam. I found out that I bought it and totally forgot, so I'll just play it on that because that I'm playing at 1080p, almost 120. Like it ranges from 100 to 120 frames per second on my Ally X. So I bought a physical on Switch, so I can at least say I have a physical copy. But it would have been nice if, like, somehow Nintendo made it to where, like, every Switch 1 game you put in the Switch 2, which just automatically made it think it was playing in dock mode.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have those two different modes, whether you're in handheld or dock mode. Because if you're in handheld, it's going to play the game at 720p. When you're in dock mode, it's going to push it up to 1080. It would have been nice if all Switch 1 games just automatically got pushed to, hey, I'm in a Switch 2. It's going to play as if I'm in dock mode. So then that way it's displaying it on a 1080p screen properly.
Yeah, I think
Other than that, I'm loving it.
we talked a little about that on Discord, and that I think that's the biggest issue when a lot of people were comparing this to Xbox and PlayStation, and the differences is jumping from the PS4 to the PS5. They still were hitting the same targeted resolution, right? With PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, they were trying to hit 4K, but they were checkerboarding. So what it was doing is basically scaling it from a lower resolution and try to upscale it to 4K. But when you put those same games onto PS5 and Xbox Series X, you pretty much got a native 4K experience on those games. And then, of course, games that had an unlocked frame rate, they were able to go ahead and go up to 60 FPS. If the game was either capped at 60 FPS or unlocked in terms of frame rate, where the Switch has a little bit of a different issue. If the OG Switch game had an unlocked frame rate or 60 FPS cap, when you put it into your Switch 2, you will hit that 60 FPS cap. A good example is Dragon Quest Builders 2. You put that in there, you get a solid 60 FPS. I had dropped that game because where I was at, I was in a bigger area and there's a lot of like NPCs in my area and a lot of things going on. And the frame rate dropped to like literally probably in the 20s, if not lower than that. And it got really sluggish on the Switch 2, a solid 60 FPS. But not only that, I do think that some games were actually 1080p, and then when in handheld mode, they were actually downscaled to 720p. And I think that was one of those games it was downscaled because when you put it on the Switch 2 in handheld mode, it looks like 1080p. It doesn't look 720p. It's not blurry or anything. It's nice and crisp. I haven't tried it out docked, but I've heard that in docked mode it's still 1080p, and of course you get the same 60 FPS. Another game is Trials of Mana. Trials of Mana barely runs at 30 FPS on the OG Switch. On Switch 2, it runs at 60 FPS. That game though is 720p, so you do kind of get a little bit of blurriness around there, but it runs at 60 FPS on there, which I'm actually excited for because I was actually going to rebuy that game on PC, but now that it runs at 60 FPS on the Switch 2, I'm like, you know what? I'll just go ahead and play that there. But there are some
What
games that
resolution is it docked?
I don't. I think it was hitting 1080p docked, so it'll probably be
Okay.
1080p on the dock mode there. I'll have to double
Okay.
check that. And I'll let you know how that looks in dock mode. But that was actually surprising there. I tried out some other games like Octopath and like Triangle Strategy. In those games, while they do hit like a steady 30 FPS, which is where they're capped, unfortunately, there's still some other things going on in those games that I don't like. The HD 2D games have this like blur like thing going on where it blurs it like heavily on Switch, and that's still there. Where if you play those same games on PC, you don't get that same blur effect. So unfortunately, that's there. I kind of hope they update it to get rid of those blur effects, and hopefully these games will all get updated to have some native Switch 2, whether it's resolution buffs or anything like that. They get some of that stuff going on. But that is the biggest issue when it comes to playing Switch 1 games to Switch 2. The Switch 1 in handheld targets 720p, where Switch 2 in handheld targets 1080p. So you have that gap in resolution. So even if it runs better on Switch 2, you're still going to be stuck with at least 720p. Again, some games, mainly from what I'm seeing, all the Koei Tecmo games, like the Warriors games or anything developed by them, they all seem to target 60 FPS and 1080p, but they're downscaled. So like Hyrule Warriors, both Hyrule Warriors games, both Fire Emblem Warriors games, they all go to 1080p in handheld mode and 60 FPS in handheld mode, which is kind of crazy. They're the only developer that I've seen to have that. Yeah, and then in dock mode, of course, the Switch 2 targets 4K in dock mode, where previously it was 1080p. So there is a huge gap there as well in terms of resolution. But I think it does a better job upscaling in dock mode than it does in handheld. But yeah, Ash and Brian, what are your thoughts on Switch 2 so far?
I can talk about it. So for I've been like just testing like the different games like Fan was. Well, I didn't have a bigger library than Fan did, but I wanted to test up more certain games that like I haven't played before. So for example, funny enough, I haven't played Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 before, and I was like, you know what? I looked it up on eShop and I saw they're on sale for like $8 to $9. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, so I was like, perfect. Let me just download it, play it, and see what happens. And that game was running a solid 60 FPS. And like, I don't know what it is, but like when I played both Resident Evil Revelations and another game, Super Mario Sunshine, the image looks a lot sharper than it's supposed to be, which could be the upscaling they were talking about earlier. But I'm like, damn. Okay, I'm like, because sometimes maybe they don't really need the update. You just need to get the upscaling in there, and that's pretty much it. Because like, if you guys were here with me, and I put up Super Mario All Stars on there with Sunshine, it looks really really damn good. Sometimes I thought it was 4K, but it's actually not. There wasn't no like huge update into it. It's more like making the game in compatible mode for the Switch 2, which makes sense. But I'm like, wow, okay, impressive. But like as I was like going through the catalog and stuff to see what other Switch 2 games I can grab that are actually on the physical cart, at the beginning there's not that many. And I feel like sometimes, right, when you're getting new Switch releases, there should always be like a upgrade path from Switch 1 to Switch 2, especially if you're a person that prefers to have a physical copy of that game itself. And Fan was right when because back in when we did the stream together for the Summer's Games Fest, by the end of it, I was hella optimistic about the new Raito game coming out, having a Switch upgrade path or something like that. And I keep forgetting freaking Sega. I forgot about that. So when I actually look at the eShop and stuff, they had listed no upgrade path for like an additional $10 to $15, which I'm willing to pay. Because like if you look up the two versions of it, Switch 1 has the whole game on it. Meanwhile, Switch 2 is just the game keycard. So in your head, you're like, why not get the Switch 1 version and just upgrade it for like additional $10 to $15? Which in this reality, in this situation, you probably don't have to pay anything extra because they actually charged both games, around the same price actually. So, but it's a problem to where that a lot of some of these are third party guys are just resorting to game key cards, but not giving you an option to do an upgrade path if you have the Switch 1 version of it, which could be an issue because, of course, yeah, we can suck it up and download digital games, but that's not right now. That's not really feasible for the Switch 2, especially on the new stores that we not have to buy now, unless there's a way for us to get like a external SSD storage device and hook up to via the dock. I'll be fine with that. Sure. I guess I'll bring it with me, hook it up via USB-C on top of the thing, and boom, call it a day from there. But right now, that's not possible. We have to resort on buying micro express SD cards, which I mean, it's still hard to find. I recently got mine, but it's a 256. But I'm looking back on my Switch 1. I had a 256 micro SD card on that too.
You didn't get the Walmart one?
I did get the Walmart one. Yeah,
Not the
I got the Walmart one, but the 256. I was trying to get the 512.
You could get the 512.
They could, yeah, because I got an order in, but they canceled my order, and I was fighting with them. Like, I was like, hey man, like, listen, I know it's on back order, but still don't cancel my order. But they did anyway. But just yeah, it's an issue because like I go back to my Switch 1, we're using regular micro SD cards, that's fine. But the thing is that I barely use the card because majority of my Switch 1 library is physical. I don't have to download extra stuff unless I need to get DLC for it or something like that, right? And at this point, the way to solve this for Nintendo side, so not even at the third party side, because we don't even know how much it costs to even like use a 64 gigabyte cartridge. We don't know the logistics for those things. So I'd say from Nintendo side, in order for this to be better for your consumers when it comes to storage problems and stuff, put in a firmware update that allows consumers to use like a portable SSD and just plug it either directly into the Switch 2 or directly into the dock, so that way we don't have to worry about storage space as much. Or try to see if you can procure different models of the cartridge, like a 16, 32, and then a 64. Because right now they're only offering third party people only out of the 64 gigabyte cartridge or the game key card. And in my personal opinion, it doesn't make sense for me to put a 10 gigabyte game on a 64 gigabyte cartridge. It doesn't make sense to me. At that point, logically, that's not feasible when it comes to like price per gigabyte per se, right? So it's just Nintendo needs to do more work from their end on, hey, here we have more options for you to actually put the game on a physical cart. And from that point, because it's like a dilemma for me to where like, should I just go for the inferior version of the Switch 1 and try to brute force some performance, or just suck it up and buy the digital version where I go and get all the bells and whistles from the Switch 2, right?
Yeah.
And it's like this which most of these companies have like an upgrade path as a workaround for the time.
I was gonna tell you, so don't forget, if you buy the Switch 1 game and then you buy the upgrade, the Switch 1 game just works as a license. You have to download the Switch 2 version of the game, right? You're not getting it's not like just an update to the game. It's you're downloading the Switch 2 version of the game. So like with Breath of the Wild, you pop in the cartridge, you have to download the Switch 2 version of the game, and that acts as a game key card technically. So like kind of like buying the Switch 1 game and then buying the upgrade pack, you're literally just buying a game key card all over again, just in a different form
just
factor.
Like Hogwarts. When you buy the Switch 1 version, you pay for the upgrade to the Switch 2. There's technically 2 games installed on your Switch
Yep.
The Switch 1 version and the Switch 2 version. There's 2 icons for it.
Yeah. Well, you could delete the Switch 1 version, which is what I did.
I know,
So
but it's there.
yeah.
Like, it's kind of like that also.
Yeah,
Yep.
so pretty much what you're saying is that with the Switch 1, if you have the upgrade, the Switch 1 is practically acting as a game key card for the Switch 2 version. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yep. So it's still kind of the same thing.
So there, yeah, I thought they were just updating the existing code for Switch 2. But okay,
No.
makes sense. At that point, it's mostly just different architecture. So at
Yeah, because
that
a lot of
point,
like
if
Switch 2
anything,
native
yeah,
games, they're not like it's not like buying Super Mario 3D World, right? Where it's a Switch 1
yeah,
game and they update it to give you just extra features. Switch 2
yeah,
games will give you updated textures and all that stuff, right? So you're not just getting
yeah.
improved frame rate and resolution, you're getting improved textures, possibly some other stuff out there that we don't know
Oh
about.
yeah. I understand that. It's
Yeah.
just like from that point with that new information, right? Or it's considered old information technically, but like Nintendo still needs to make
Hmm.
an update at least to allow the Switch 2 to use other types of storage devices, like at least an SSD, if
Yeah.
anything, right? SSD will be good enough to run the Switch 2 games at this point, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I remember seeing something in the past, or could have been a rumor per se, but wasn't the Switch 2 an alpha kit of it was able to like use an portable SSD of some sort or something like that?
Not
You
that
guys
I
remember
know
seeing something like
of.
that?
No.
Yeah, so I feel like they can like definitely look through that avenue per se and go from there
I
because
mean,
like
supposedly we talked about in
I
the
feel
podcast supposedly that there is a portable SSD being made for Switch 2 for games.
and like I don't want it to be I don't want it to get like proprietary. Just make
Yeah.
it more easy to like just use like go to a Best Buy, buy yourself like a 1 or 2 terabyte
Hmm.
SSD or whatever storage you want, plug it in, and that's it. Okay.
Hmm.
And like I feel like that's a way easier solution for them to do because like I said, we don't know too much about like what's inside the Switch 2 cartridge unless you want to look up a Spawnway video on like on the teardown on those things.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the Switch 2 cartridges have like fairly unique what's the word? What's the word? They probably have really unique storage like units on those cartridges where it's really hard to reproduce those
Hmm.
and procure different versions of it like the 1632
Yeah.
obviously. So from that point they should just do a firmware update and just
Well,
allow us to use SSDs and stuff. So
I'm wondering they didn't go that route because they're assuming that most games are going to be big games anyways, right? Like, you got to think like when Blu-ray discs Blu-ray discs for PlayStation, they only came in one size. There was no such thing as a 32 gigabyte Blu-ray. Every Blu-ray disc was 64 gigs. So it's like you're buying a 64 gig Blu-ray, or I think it might be more than that actually. I could be wrong on that number. But you're buying a Blu-ray in one size and that's it. Now, of course, the counter argument to that is Blu-ray was a little bit more universal, so it is cheaper versus Nintendo's proprietary stuff. But I think really the only way for us to get like more games on a physical cartridge is Nintendo would have to cut out a deal or cut out some loss or something like that. But we'll have to wait to see because at the same time, we don't know if this just these companies trying to push the whole digital initiative, right? The game key card is an excuse to kind of push that digital initiative, in my opinion.
I
Because
mean yeah, like going back to what I said is
yeah,
that Capcom is going to count game key cards as
as digital
digital
sales,
sales.
yeah, and they're probably I
Yeah,
would be
so
surprised if Capcom does a physical cartridge game. I mean, maybe they might if Resident Evil ever comes to Switch 2, maybe they'll do physical, maybe not.
yeah, and the thing is, I'm just like, man, I hope they don't keep doing that because, like, the thing is, there's a good amount of people that
Hmm.
download straight the digital thing, and like, there's people that if they're solely digital, it wouldn't make sense for them to buy a game key card, like
Hmm.
Brian here. So
Yeah,
they're gonna count his purchase along with the game key card stuff, which is an issue,
yeah.
right? Eh, So it's just
Yep. This right here is
what the heck.
a digital purchase. They've officially stated it. This
Mm.
is a digital
That's it.
purchase.
Yeah, they're gonna count that as a digital purchase, unfortunately. And
Oh, I
then
didn't
if
know I had a
anything,
code in here.
gotta
Well,
go to there. Yeah.
yeah. I guess I have
Um,
to go ahead and do this.
What's the code for the DLC?
I don't know. Let me see. What is the code for?
I think it was for the seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I did put it in already then, because I have all the characters.
Oh.
Yeah, it says year 1, year 2 character pass and costumes.
Yeah, I'll be picking that up as soon as it goes on sale, not a minute before.
But yeah, overall, I'm fully enjoying the Switch 2. It's really powerful. I love what it brings to the table. It's just my obviously my only gripe is with the game key card stuff, obviously. And I've been playing older games too. I actually went back and played Fire Emblem Warriors on the performance side of things. Game runs at a solid 60 the entire time. My only issue with it is that this thing is running at 720p, and I'm like, dang it. So that's when I switched to the quality mode, and of course, due to the code infrastructure, it bumps up to like 1080p, but it's going to be running at 30. So I'm like, dang it, man. Like, so at that
worst
point,
of both worlds.
Yeah, so they just have to update the code and say, hey, listen, since it's in dock mode for the Switch 2, just run at 60 instead of like 30.
Yeah.
So
you know what game I should try that I didn't try is Persona 5 Strikers. On dock mode, it runs at 60 FPS, but it's like a unstable 60. So I'm sure this will look amazing in docked.
Yeah.
Where
interesting.
in portable mode, it only ran at 30 FPS. But I'm wondering if it was uncapped and it can hit 60 in portable. I gotta try that out. That game is great.
Let me know.
I actually like Five Strikers.
I haven't played that one yet, despite the fact a friend lent me their copy because they didn't want it anymore. But like it was a PS4 version, so I could play it eventually.
It's honestly, the combat is similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like the minute I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, oh, this is Persona 5 Strikers combat. Like it's very similar.
Makes sense, yeah. So, but yeah, I love the accessories. Bryant, as you can see in that corner right there, I don't have a Switch 2 camera. This works perfectly fine for $17. Saying, and I got me some good old Switch 2 Pro.
You got the Pro controller. Nice.
Oh yeah,
the Pro controller is insane.
This is immaculate. I understand why you guys were praising this damn thing so much. Like Jesus. I've been using this for a good while, but when I go on that Mars Sunshine, it's back to this baby right here. So,
you gotta play GameCube games with this. Amazing.
Of course, I was playing Soul Calibur and freaking
yes,
Sunshine. So it was great. Good time.
Hearing this thumbstick, you can't really hear it. I don't know if you can hear it, but just hearing that noise, and
bro,
this
brings me
back.
Like
you're in high school again.
Yeah,
no, brings you back Melee days. This is Melee days. You already know.
Oh man.
So, but yeah, good old system. Like I feel like the 450 is worth it. It's just he's got to give time for developers to like implement their updates, so that way they can like fully take advantage of the hardware and stuff. You know, but yeah, that's it for me.
But you, Bryant.
So interesting. Ash really did a deep dive for the most part into the software, and that's like the last thing that I really care about is the software. Surprisingly, like because for me, there's no issue. It's just I go on the eShop and I buy my games, or Mario Kart. I just did the download code. I did buy that Switch. Yes, the
Welcome Tour.
Welcome Tour. Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I'm going to play it. Just because it's $10. Apparently, there's some interesting factoids in it or whatever. It's fine. It's whatever. But anyway, so for me, my thoughts on it really come down to I'm kind of disappointed in the hardware with the exception of the Pro Controller. The Pro Controller is spectacular. There's no way around it. I think it might be the best controller I've ever used. I love the back buttons on the Pro Controller, like those buttons in the handles. They feel really nice to press. Like I just like randomly assigned some stuff to them, and it's very satisfying to click those buttons. I also really like on the Switch how it feels to take off and put on the Joy-Con. That feels so much better than the original that felt really rickety in comparison. But that's pretty much where the compliments stop for me. I really still dislike the Joy-Con joysticks. They are better. They are better than the OG Switch sticks, but they're still just so limited. Like I have a Razer Kishi Ultra controller, mobile controller. You hook your phone into, and the sticks on it feel like console sticks, and it just seems so ridiculous to me that Nintendo couldn't figure out a way to put a more console-like experience into those sticks. I'm not even saying they have to be like that big, but just better than what they are. Like they just feel like they're like one step away from how Backbone 1 sticks feel, and those aren't great either. So, what were you gonna say, Ash?
Oh, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were gonna say something. I mean, like the back ones are serviceable, but as far as like something I'm gonna play, not on the out and about at a friend's house, whatever. Like I want better sticks than what the OG Switch was. So then, going to the screen. Like it's fine for an LCD, but honestly, it's not even the quality of the screen that like I know it's not an OLED. Like I've let that go. That's fine. But for me, the motion on it doesn't seem really smooth. Like I know it runs at a high refresh rate and stuff, but I was playing Mario 64 on it, and it's just looked really choppy in the motion. It wasn't as seamless, as smooth as it was on the OLED Switch, and just kind of disappointed by that. So I hope that eventually they do release an OLED version, and I'll be all over that. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I think Mario Kart World is a wonder. I can't believe how much it surprised me with how good it is. I think it's worth the $80 price point. There's a lot in there, a lot of fun to be had, especially with friends. Like when we played last week, I had a blast, and hopefully we can do that again. But yeah, so Switch 2 overall, I like it. I wish they would have done some more enhancements to the software. It does feel. I was watching. What's his name? He's a really prominent YouTuber that does like PC, like handheld. Is it not? It's not mobile tech review. No, what's his name? You know this guy, James. He's like really prominent. He does like mobile gaming PCs, controllers. It's like a dude. What'd you say?
There's
I don't know.
Wolfden, Retro Game Core.
Retro Game Core.
Maybe hold on, let me look it up.
There's what's his name? The Fox is another one.
There's also that South African guy.
Retro Game Core. That's what I was thinking of. Retro Game Core. Yeah. Where he said the video was, or he said the Switch was an evolution, not a revolution. That is very accurate. The power is better. Like you can tell, they're really going to use some of the horsepower to make these games really sing. But as far as the hardware goes, I don't know. We'll wait and see.
It was a safe bet. They didn't want to have another Wii U debacle.
Yeah.
It was like
surprising
the
is that the Wii U is 100 times more ergonomic than the Switch 2 is, and also the control sticks are better, which is just ridiculous.
And that thing is like 3 times as big.
I would tell, hey, the Steam Deck is too, and I would rather play on my Steam Deck than play on my Switch 2, 100%.
Yeah,
no lie.
I mean, I think too, we also got to see that Nintendo looks to cater to their home base first. So they probably make Japan. They probably make Japan. They probably make the Switch to cater to the Japanese market, right? A lot of people are more on the go over there, so they probably don't want to carry around something as big as a Steam Deck. At least that's in my head canon, right? That's what I'm talking about.
But if you look at them side by side, they're actually not that different in size. Like they're actually pretty
in
close.
Thickness, right? In thickness.
Well, no, not in thickness. In like longness.
Longness. Yeah. What were you say? What were you say, Ash?
I thought your head cannon was gonna be a joke because how small their hands are.
No, I would never belittle. I have small hands too, so I would never belittle anybody with small hands, right?
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
But no, I'm saying more that like they're going in looking at people are always on the go, right? Which is I think that's why they did the Switch Lite.
It'd be tough to carry this around on a subway or transit.
Yeah. But I do think they can probably do better.
They can do a better job.
Form factor. Yeah. I do agree with that they can definitely do better thumbsticks in the form factor. Now, I think the thumbsticks are, while I agree they're not better than like this, right? They're nowhere near better than this, but they are definitely better than the Switch 1.
Universe.
They're definitely better than the Switch 1. And, it hasn't bothered me yet. The biggest thing I get about those thumbsticks is they're very slippery. Like my hands tend to like slip off of it if I'm doing something. Not as bad as the Switch 1, because the Switch 1, I would play like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and just running. My hand is slowly slipping up, and then then I have to like readjust my thumb again on the thumbstick. Where I This one, it's not that bad. Just to put in perspective, I don't get that issue at all on the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck thumbsticks, but they have more of that indent in there, so your hand, your thumb
Yeah,
fits better in there.
it's concave right there in
Mhm.
the center. Yeah.
Now, I will.
mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, keep going. I had
Yeah.
like a suggestion I want to show you guys, but
Okay.
you can finish your thought.
I was gonna say on the topic of the LCD, I definitely don't think it's the LCD panel that's doing that motion effect. Because, like, again, to put into perspective, the OG Steam Deck and the ROG Ally has LCD, and you don't get that issue. I do think it's
It's
something
true.
to do with the software or whatever's running that panel. Somebody had mentioned it, and I think it was the Fox who mentioned it. Is that in some games, what happens is when the game is running, that 120 hertz panel is still there and it doesn't actually limit it to the 60 hertz. So you get a lot of that weird motion blurring happening. And in some games you notice it, in other games you don't. It is a case by case basis. Playing Suikoden 1 and 2, I noticed that. Playing Bravely Default, I don't notice that. Playing Mario Kart, I don't notice that. But playing like what other game was I playing? There was another game I was playing, I noticed it as well. So it's like weird. I don't know if it's how the software interacts with the display or how the Switch 2 is telling like the display to react, but it's definitely messing up with something. To keep it in mind, like if you plug your Switch 2 in dock mode into a monitor, you'll see that your screen will change frame rate based on the game if it supports 120 hertz or not. And the display should do the same thing. It shouldn't always be at 120. It should, if you're playing a 60 hertz game, it should play at 60 hertz, but it's not doing that either. Now, yes, I get it. That's what VRR is there for, but VRR is supposed to be there so that that 120 hertz panel goes down to 60 hertz, and it doesn't seem like it's doing its job. So there's something weird going on with the Switch 2 display, whether maybe it's a defective component, maybe it's a software update that needs to be done. That I do agree. There is something weird with the display. Me and Brian are not the only one mentioning this. A lot of other people have been mentioning this as well, that the display
Oh,
is
also, wait.
kind of iffy. Uh-huh.
The biggest elephant in the room that I can't believe I didn't even mention
Mhm.
is the scratching thing.
Yes.
The freaking like, oh my god, like I put my Switch in my dock and I take it out and there's little scratches on it. James had the same exact issue
Mhm.
where he put it in, took it out, scratches on the screen. I went on Reddit, all over the place. This is apparently a very prevalent
Oh.
issue because the plastic or whatever film they put on the Switch 2 screen is just very fragile to
Mhm.
scratches from stuff. And so, like, dude, PSA to anybody getting a Switch 2, like, as soon as you take that thing out of the wrapper, you throw a glass screen protector on that thing before you even breathe on it, and away you go. But I
Yep.
wish I would have known that. Luckily, I have a friend that never plays in handheld mode, so he sold it, or I sold it to him, and then I just took another one that I ordered and I put a glass screen shield on that right away. And
Yeah.
yeah, just very disappointing. Like, and I know James, you definitely can feel this because it's like you
Mhm.
get this brand new thing that we've been waiting months and months and months for, and then like it's already scratched within a day. And I called Nintendo the next day, and I was like, hey, like my Switch 2 got scratched from me just putting it in the dock. They're like, oh well, you can send it to us and we'll repair it. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, I just got this. Like, I don't want to send it to you, and then I'm without it for 2 weeks. Like, it's a $500 machine. Like, give me a
Mhm.
break. And like
Yep.
it'd be one thing if they offered something where like they send you one and then you put money on your credit card and then you send the old one back and then it gets
Like a
removed. Like then
hold.
I'd be okay with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't need to do that. It's you send it in, get repaired, be without for however long, and then you get another one. And
Yeah.
it's just like,
It's
dude, come
probably
on.
not even a repair, it's a replacement. But yeah, there's somebody
Right.
else that that you think you were part of that. I mentioned you in that, but somebody um who works with us had said the same thing, that they got the scratches on them. They send theirs in for repair, and theirs luckily got overnighted. But who knows when they'll get it back? That's overnighted to
Right.
Nintendo. Who knows when they'll get
Right.
that back? Now, that can
Right.
take 2 weeks. But yeah, I agree. And for me, in my head, I'm like, that's on me, because I remember the Switch 1 had the issue. The Switch OLED had the same issue. And both of those, I put the screen protector right away before I did anything. Here, I was so tired, I did not want to put the screen protector right away, and I just wanted to go ahead and get everything set up. And yeah, that's on me. I should have done it.
You figured they would learn, and you figure like you're not doing
True,
anything
true.
crazy. Like it's not like you're like going to the mall and playing your Switch, like riding your skateboard over to the mall. Like you're literally taking it out of the box, putting it in the dock. Like there shouldn't be any concern about scratches from
Mhm.
point A to point B.
That is
Period.
true. Yeah, they should have like some padding or something to kind of make sure of that.
Or just put on a glass protector. If you're going to put a film on it or whatever, like I know they put that on there to prevent shattering, but at the same time, it's like we're adults here. Like if something shatters or whatever, like it's on adults to cordon off the area and get a vacuum cleaner or whatever. Like don't make the consumer suffer because some people don't know how to handle when glass breaks or whatever. And if you're going to do that, like, okay, but then like just put a glass shield on there and just be done with it.
I think they gotta think of the kids too, and like the parents, the adults that happens, and the kid cuts themselves because the kid broke the glass, and they sue Nintendo because the kid cut themselves because the kid broke the glass.
Well, kids can cut themselves on anything, you know. It's not it's not exclusive, you know. It's like, come on.
And parents like to sue on anything as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true too.
I've seen it happen plenty of times where, you know, the kid does a dumb mistake and the parent wants to sue because their kid did something dumb, you know, which is not right. My final thoughts on the Switch 2 is I'm loving it. Like it's definitely a huge upgrade, and I'm excited for the future. The only negative I have right now, it's not even negative, it's more fear, is coming out of Summer Game Fest and also seeing like Xbox showcase. There was not any Switch 2 logos at all on anything there. Like I mentioned earlier, the only game that we knew for a fact that was coming to specifically to Nintendo Switch 2 was Sonic Crossworlds. That is it. Sonic Racing Crossworlds was coming to
And
Switch
Scott
2.
Pilgrim.
Is it confirmed for Switch 2? Because I know it had the Nintendo Switch
I thought
logo.
fans said it was.
We had Nintendo Switch, but it didn't have a Switch 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right, fair enough.
and that's the something that's got me worried, because a lot of these games were showing PlayStation logos and they were showing PC logos at the same showcase, but no Switch 2 logo. Now, part of me wants to believe that Nintendo doesn't want third parties to put it there because they want to control their marketing and they want to get everybody hyped for whenever the next Nintendo Direct comes out. They're like, hey, you know, Silent Hill F is coming to Switch 2, you know, Resident Evil Requiem is coming to Switch 2, and so forth.
That's a good point.
Which I hope so, because I'm sure we would all say like this Nintendo Direct would be an A if every game they just showed off at all of these showcases are all across these 3 showcases are put in one showcase on Nintendo Direct. And they're like, yeah, you're getting Pragmata, you're getting you know, Silent Hill F, you're getting, you know, Final Fantasy 16, you're getting you know, all these other games all at once. You're getting Monster Hunter Wilds, right? You know, Brian would be very happy at that. If all of that was
I would.
if all that was shown in one showcase,
I wouldn't call a Nintendo Direct Portathon as an A. I play Nintendo Switch games for Nintendo games. Like it'd be nice, but
would those be really ports if they're games that haven't came out yet? Right? Like they would be simultaneously releases, which I think we all want. Like we don't want a port. We want, hey, when Requiem comes out on day 1 on February 26th, it's also available on Switch too, right? And that's what I'm talking about. Like games in the future. I agree. A portathon isn't really an A for me because I don't want ports. I want day 1 buys on Switch 2. The hope for this power and what it can do is that we can get these day 1 buys as well. Because if not, then I will go back to being like, yeah, the Switch 2 is not my third party machine no more. I'll stick with, you know, the ROG Ally and maybe buy the ROG Xbox Ally X whatever that thing.
Asus Xbox ROG Ally.
Yeah.
Or no, Asus ROG Xbox Ally X.
This is gonna work out so well for them.
Yes.
I mean, I said it in the Discord. Like, if you guys saw like the Xbox showcase, how like all of their logos was like giant, all of the releases, and then all the other logos for like Steam and PS5 and
or small
Nintendo
at the bottom.
or small like at the bottom.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of hinting at like these showcases, these state of plays, that do have like some like say on how they want these things to be portrayed, and maybe Nintendo's doing that same thing too. They're like, hey, like yes, your game is going to be on the Switch 2, but we want to be the one to announce it on our like direct that it's coming to Switch 2. So if you can hold off not including the logo, then that'd be great. And I did look it up. That Scott Pilgrim EX, the Brian Lee O'Malley, the guy that does Scott Pilgrim, he confirmed that it is coming on the Switch 2.
Is it okay? Because I'm looking at the official trailer, yeah, and it still just shows regular Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, but I think that's probably what like Well, as I was saying
Unless
earlier,
He
like
just doesn't know
maybe
the distinction. Maybe he just is like, oh, it's backwards compatible. It's gonna play on, maybe he doesn't know. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
I feel like a good amount of companies, or not companies, good amount of devs were like in the dark about the Switch 2, which is why like the way they presented the trailers and everything didn't include the Switch 2 logo to begin with. And probably later on, they're going to like announce, hey, it's going to run on the Switch 2 at this resolution, this frame rate, and call it a day. Because because at that point I'm not really worried too much about that per se. Like heck, the Switch 2, Nintendo really sold 3.5 million Switch 2s in 4 days. So
That's something we
it's
haven't
really
mentioned
good
today.
for them. Yeah, it's really good for them because third party devs will want to get on that too. So like, I
Yeah,
believe I'm not really worried too much like you are, James, regarding to that. So
yeah, that's a good point. We haven't mentioned that number today, but yeah, the Switch 2 is now the fastest selling console ever in its launch
yeah,
week at 3.5 million after a couple days, right? That's kind of huge, right? The
yeah,
one they beat PlayStation, which was 2.2 million in 4 days, right? Or something like that. So
yeah,
that's pretty huge. And honestly, like Nintendo can probably do well over 5 million by the end of the year. Like they
yeah,
can do well more if they can keep supply up, right? Because there's demand. Can they keep that supply up? And that's a good question. And it seems like restocks are going in. Like today, there was a restock at Best Buy and or was that yesterday? So one of the days there was a restock at Best Buy, Target, and so forth,
that's probably
and
yesterday.
they sold out. But they're getting them regularly, so if they can continue that supply, I do think they can hit easily 5 million. And the narrative on this is funny because you have a lot of people saying, "Oh, Switch 2 ain't selling well because there's consoles available inside Best Buy or Target to buy." I mean, on the contrary, the Switch Nintendo did a great job. They are selling well, and they're actually keeping up with demand, kind of, which is something that PlayStation or Xbox couldn't do with the Series X or PS5. Granted, they had to deal with the chip shortage and all that other stuff. But still, it's nice to see that demand is being or supply is being met for the demand because we're not used to that. We're used to graphics cards where people buy 10 graphics cards and that's it. They're out of stock for 10 months until there's a restock of that. Same thing with like,
yeah.
a lot of devices. We're used to it just being sold out and you have to wait a month or two to see inventory. So I'm happy that Nintendo is keeping up that supply when it comes to that. And yeah, I hope devs are seeing that. They're like, hey, the Switch 2 is selling fast. People are buying it. Let's go ahead and show them we're going to put these games on that platform. Because why else? Like, if you're going to have already 3.5 million people getting the Switch 2, that's people who will buy your game. And it's like, I will buy Resident Evil Requiem if it's on Switch 2. I will buy uh, Death Stranding 2 if it's on Switch 2, right? I would buy these games if they're available on Switch 2. I hope devs are seeing that. And that's the hope. But again, I think we'll have to wait and see because there's the hope and then there's the reality that these companies don't want to spend a lot of money to port their games and they do have to do a lot more to put it on Switch 2 because it is going from x86 base to ARM architecture. So you are switching architecture there. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out. Yeah, go ahead.
One last thing regarding to like the complaints about the joysticks.
Mhm.
I did buy these grips from JSOX, I think.
Mhm.
Let me see.
For me,
You
it's
can
not
see
the
that.
caps, it's the motion. It's not a wide
It's
range of motion.
Oh, it's like the
Yeah.
dead zone, I think you're referring to. I'm
no,
not
no. He means the
No.
actual like
Yeah, when you
how
tilt
far it goes
this,
back and forth.
yeah, when you
The
tilt
tilt.
There's some
it, it doesn't
resistance and
tilt
stuff.
as
Oh,
much.
the resist. Yeah, I see what you mean. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
Yeah, that's what he's getting at, which it is a valid point. Like it doesn't the motion is like I don't want to say half, but it almost feels like halfway there when you tilt it. It does feel stiff. Like it almost feels like no, I feel like I should be able to push this further. Like I always get that sense when I'm
Right.
pushing it all the way.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any last thoughts on the Switch 2 before we end today's podcast?
Just hoping that Nintendo figure out some solution regarding
There you go.
to oh yeah, Van, I may have to talk to you about that too. But um
What do you do
I'm
with
just
that? No,
hoping
I'm kidding.
I'm just hoping that Nintendo, like, if anything, honestly, I just hope Nintendo comes out with like the fastest workaround solution, which is, you know, letting us consumers just use like a portable SSD for more storage for our Switch 2 games, and that's pretty much it. And at that point, I can say, hey, I can sacrifice the
Yeah.
need of physical
So
games at that physical Switch 2 games if I have a big ass SSD right beside me, so I'm fine with that. But that's up to Nintendo. I'm pretty sure it's possible at this point, but we'll see.
and as you see, this game is inside my Switch 2 right now. That's Trials of Mana would have gone right there because Collection of Mana is there. Try to
Wait a
do a
second.
nice
Wait,
order
let
of
me
that.
see that. Can you put that
Yeah.
up a little closer to the camera?
Yeah.
Please don't tell me that's not an alphabetical order, James. That's
No,
not
it's
an
not an
alphabetical
alphabetical
order.
order. No.
Oh, oh,
No,
kill me. That would
I
kill me.
no, I organized it by franchise. Like I had like all
Same.
RPGs here,
Same, dude.
and then franchises
Same.
together.
That's better. That's actually better. That actually makes sense to me.
Because I want to know,
actually.
okay, my Mario games are in here, and then here I started off with, well, I had to put my Switch 2 game here, and then I had all my Zelda games after. Which you see what I found.
Oh,
Remember I told you I
didn't you
couldn't
lose
find it? Yeah, I
Yeah.
lost it. I couldn't find it. I did find it there. But
Nice.
then I put all of this here. This is the only one that I don't have a spot for, but I'm sure you guys could guess what's going there. I'll put up a
Dragon
little.
Quest 1 to 2.
Yep. I had to save that spot just for Dragon Quest 1 and 2. I was like, you know what? I have 11 and I have it in timeline order, not series number. So
Nice.
Yeah, so
yes,
Timeline order?
like
Okay.
I have
timeline order.
Mario games, Zelda games, fighting games, and then just like miscellaneous, and then
Yeah.
Well, I guess
RPGs.
Mario to Zelda is kind of alphabetical order, I guess.
James,
I started
James,
with-
I've
yeah.
been James, I've been trying to research this for so long, but I couldn't find anybody that did this. But I want you to try to test Dragon Quest 11 on the Switch 2.
I did.
See
30
Think
FPS and it's 720p. No, actually, I don't even think it's 720p on handheld. It's got to be a lower resolution than that because I tested it out and it does not look pretty in handheld. I haven't tried dock though. I haven't tried dock. I'll have to try dock next. But in handheld, yeah,
okay.
wasn't great. I didn't show you this. Ash, I showed them that this was a fan made this, and all I have to buy
That's
is
his
like
award for winning the SGF.
yes, I'm gonna buy a sticker of gold
Pokemon Gold.
and put
Nice.
that there. But inside is more Switch games.
Jesus Christ.
And these I have to reorder because as you see, I got Mario, more Mario games here. And that's because the reason fan made that is I told him I didn't realize how many Switch games I had, and I filled up these. So once I get that one, I will reorganize it to make sure I have every Mario game together.
Because this holds 48 carts.
Yes.
Fan, I know we talked about this like earlier, but we gotta talk about which 3D printer you use to make that for James.
I still have I still have 2 games here too that I still have.
Wow.
Yeah. I was actually surprised. Like I mentioned it multiple times that I have a lot of Switch games, and I think my Switch catalog is bigger than any of my other consoles ever. Like the second closest would have been my PlayStation 4 list of games. I had a ton of PS4 games that I eventually sold them all when I sold my PS4. But like my Switch is definitely the biggest amount. Then PlayStation 4, then 3DS. In terms of the amount of games that I owned. So yeah. Yep. And Switch 2 might not be like that though, because I might go more digital than anything, but we'll wait and see. It depends. I might buy Nintendo games on cartridge.
To the
but
dark side.
we'll see. Like I bought Bravely Default 2 digital. Or I'm sorry, Bravely Default digital. Well, I bought 2 digital as well. And then I bought Suikoden digital as well.
What you think of Bravely Default?
Actually, it's a good remaster. It definitely looks way better than the 3DS version. Yeah, okay. It's good. Everything they have going on for it is nice. The running thing is nice, so now you can run twice as fast. It's not like a whole speed up of like everything. It's just your character moves faster, so that's nice. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
What's like the resolution frame rate on dock mode?
1080p 60, 4K 60 on dock mode. So yeah,
perfect. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a good remaster. I'm enjoying it.
Get that on sale.
been playing it, and yeah, I forgot how good it was. After going
Oh
through it,
yeah,
it's like, yeah, it's really good.
it's amazing. One of the best spin-offs I ever played. It's
Now,
crazy.
I
I
will
love it.
say this, definitely Bravely Default 2 has a better entry point, if that makes sense. Like, it's definitely better to get into because it gets you straight into the action, where the Bravely Default 1 does start off slow.
Yeah, it does. I agree. It's just I feel like with Bravely Default 2, mechanically it does improve a lot compared
Mhm.
to its predecessors. But the main issue that a lot of people have, including myself, is just the story is kind of just lackluster. It's just
Yeah.
there. They don't try hard with this one. They just want to say, hey, we improve the mechanics for this and have fun with it, I guess. And that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. So
Yeah. Alrighty. Any last words before we end today's podcast?
Long show. 2.5 hours.
Was long. Went a little bit
Yeah.
longer
A
than
lot to talk about.
usual. But yeah, it was a lot to talk about. I wanted to make sure we ended with getting our thoughts on the Switch 2 because it is 1 week of having the Switch 2, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about on weeks to come when it comes to the Switch 2. Hopefully, there's a Nintendo Direct that comes out soon because honestly, when you think about it, the future of the Nintendo Switch 2, we really don't know much in terms of games coming out for it yet. We know Bonanza, we know the Jamboree updates and Kirby, and that's kind of it. I want to say like there's a few other Switch 2 games, and that's it. I feel that Nintendo does have to do a direct to show what's coming to Nintendo Switch 2. In my opinion, if they want to continue to sell those units and get people kind of excited, because we got the here and today, which is Mario Kart World, everybody's excited for. But now we need to know what is the future bringing. Like just bring Final Fantasy 16. I'm sure a lot of people would love that. I'll buy it to
yeah,
support Brian.
and and also like I hope Nintendo doesn't do this. Don't slot in Switch 2 enhancements in your time slots for direct. We want to see new Switch 2 titles in those directs. That's
Actually,
all
I
we
wouldn't
need
be
because
surprised if they do like a Matanage. Like, here's the next wave of Switch 2 enhancements. And then it's like another like 20
yeah.
games or something.
I mean,
Oh,
if it's like
James.
if it's quick, that's fine. But like they recently just dropped like a Switch 2 enhancement thing for Splatoon 3,
Yeah.
along with a spin-off game. So if they could do that with his own standalone thing, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Right? So
But see, and that also makes me wonder, right? You would think this Splatoon spin-off game would have been big enough for Nintendo Direct. So like, does that mean that if there is a Nintendo Direct, is the Nintendo Direct bigger than the Splatoon spin-off game? Or does it mean that
that's
there
good.
is no Nintendo
That's good.
Direct, so this they had to do that?
Hey, I don't like that second option. I don't like that.
I'm just relaying the facts. I'm hoping there's a Nintendo Direct. I just don't know if they would do it like as right after a console launch. Like I'm trying to think back in March when the Switch came out. Was there a Nintendo Direct?
I don't know.
I don't know. I forgot.
What would have been 2017, right?
Yeah.
March 2017.
Just like list of Nintendo Directs. I bet they did do one in June.
Or I meant 2017.
But then again, it released. I mean, the
but that
Switch
would have been like
released
March
in June.
to June, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that would have been 3 months or whatever.
Oh, hold up. Let me see. Oh no, this. Here's an archives of directs, but no, that's all. In 2017, Nintendo hosted 2 official Nintendo Direct presentations, one on April 12th, and the other one was in September. So
Okay.
March it came out, then
So it would be in July.
yeah. So they would wait
like
a month
later.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because like a lot of people were speculating that after Donkey Kong Bonanza releases, which I think sometime during July, early July, July 6th, I think.
17th, I think.
So I'm thinking a direct may come out after the 17th.
So the April 12th direct showed off Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, and ARMS. And then September 13th direct showed off Super Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and Kirby Star Allies.
So you're saying by the second direct we may get a Xenoblade Chronicles 4? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know about that. That would be awesome, but I doubt it. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Hopefully.
Also, I had.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say also, I had 1 voucher left from the eShop pre-orders, and luckily my voucher expired 2 weeks after Pokemon Z to A came out, so I
Okay.
pre-ordered that. So I'm gonna get
Nice.
that, and then there's like a $10 upgrade fee to get it
Yeah.
on Switch too. So I'm gonna do that.
Just do that. Yeah, that's well worth it. You haven't played Legends
Yeah.
Arceus yet.
Nope. I own it, but I haven't played it.
That one is highly recommended. It's a very good Pokemon game with a good story. Violet now is good too. Like
Yeah, the
Violet is
FPS. Yeah.
well worth playing. Like I said, I beat the story. I think the story is great. It's a sad ending to the story mode.
Interesting.
It's sad, but like funny in the sense that something sad happens, and then it's like you the credits roll, and then it's like nothing ever happened. Everybody's all happy and go lucky. I'm like, dude, like this is tragic. Like I would be sad for like a week or two or something. But I guess we don't know if it's a month later in the time span. Um, yeah, cool. Well, anyways, that is all that we have for today's podcast. Appreciate everybody for joining us. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Follow over on Twitch. We'll be back tomorrow with a group stream. Is everybody joining the group stream for some Mario Kart World, or is
Tomorrow.
it a hit
I
and
think I'll be
miss?
there.
You'll be there?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's a Friday, so why not?
What about you, Fan?
I should be able to. As long
Awesome.
as, you know.
We'll do some knockout tour and see who's the best of the best in Mario Kart World. We've all had a week to practice.
And I got my camera too, so it's right there. It's right there.
I don't have my
above,
camera,
right above the TV.
unfortunately, so
Hey, I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link, man. It works.
I know you got the link, but unfortunately, I won't be able to get that not till sometime next week. So unless I can find my camera, which we'll see. But yeah, anyways, we'll be back tomorrow with some Mario Kart World. So definitely tune in while we play some knockout tour and have some more fun there. Appreciate everybody for joining. Fan, where can I catch you at?
They can catch me at Phaneckswhy at all the pertinent socials.
What about you, Ash?
You know where to find me at this point. Right on the counter.
What about you, Bryant?
At Red So Deep on Blue Sky.
And as always, you can find me here. I probably won't have a video until I get a good light source because I need lights. So hopefully next week I can go ahead and buy a light so I can do videos again, because I had a bunch of shorts and a bunch of Switch 2 content planned and I have no light. So I have to be in the dark like this.
You could do like
Not by
Bo
choice.
Burnham's inside thing and have like glow lights and stuff and have it be really artsy. You could do that.
I mean, I thought about that. I might have to see. I might figure it out. I might use what I have here as a light source and try to figure out something there. I did figure
There you
out the way I have these like planned out. I was like, man, that would be amazing for my B-roll when I show the console. So now I will use
There you
these
go.
lights for the B-roll, but for my A-roll, I need a light source for that. So I'll figure that out and get that all done. But yeah, as always, yeah, catch us here next week at Thursday when we do the podcast. Back tomorrow for group stream and so forth. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Fan. Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Bryant. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.